You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, this first Friday of June. 90 days away from the start of the college football season. 97 days away from Bills and Rams. And 1 day into the NBA Finals. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How the heck are you?
I'm doing well. We got a good NBA game last night.
So when you do a morning show or when you have a morning shift, there are key decisions to be made when watching a game that starts at 8:30 or 9 o'clock Eastern. So, fourth quarter getting underway, 11-ish. What'd you do?
I was ready to go to bed because Golden State seemed to have this thing at arm's length, and all of a sudden, a couple of threes go down and a couple of head bobs, and I'm trying to fight through it.
So you stayed with it?
Oh, yeah, I stayed with it.
All right, good for you. Good for you. Because, that's a key decision like we talk about with hockey overtime. Are you in or are you out? So
old guy curses the television, though, when 9 o'clock comes, and I know they're not ready to start yet. Could we get tip, please? Could we get this thing underway?
I know. You know what they really should do? They should start when they list that they're going to start. I mean, don't start another pregame show. Don't have the 8:30 to 9 pregame show and then have the 9 to 9:18 pregame show.
That's the one that gets me. I'm ready for this baby to pop, ready for this thing to go. But you know it's coming.
Yep, you do. You do. And I guess, they know what they're doing, I guess, from a rating standpoint. I'm sure it did well last night. I mean, let's face it. It's the Warriors and the Celtics, and it was an entertaining game. First NBA Finals game and only the second one this century in which both teams had a 15-point lead at one point. So, pretty remarkable. Boston up at the half. Golden State up 12 after 3. Boston winning by 12. That's why we love sports. Come on. What in the world delivers like sports?
Certainly not your reality shows. Not the government, not politics. Sports delivers.
Does your family, in fact, early nomination for a poll question, kind of heavy, yet very flippant also, depending on which side of the coin you want to look. What delivers for you more consistently, sports or your family?
Ouch. That's a heavy hitter for a Friday because I know what's going to win.
Just something to throw out there for the weekend. That's something that we could put a 72-hour timer on and let people just vote whenever they stumble upon it.
Thank goodness my wife has no idea of my Twitter account. Could get me in trouble at home with that, David.
Good thing my wife doesn't listen anymore. So, but she could still listen. She just doesn't know how I'm going to vote.
It's a great point, David.
But what delivers more consistently for you, sports or your family?
Well, of course it's my family, David.
Well, I know, Mark. Now everybody go vote. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FloridaSportsNetwork.com. That is what sports has always given me, though. I mean, we've all had ups and downs in life, but to be serious for 34 seconds, I will say sports has always been there for me. Now, I'm not saying that, my teams always win and this, that, and the other thing, but to me, it's like that big bag of chips.
Well, there's a better question. What delivers for you more, sports or that snack you've got buried in the cupboard at 2 a.m.?
Comfort food.
The one that you're hiding from the rest of the family?
Exactly.
Yep. That delivers. So does Al Horford, apparently.
Yeah, there's a few Celtics that delivered yesterday. When your best player can have a horrendous night and you can win on the road by 12, that's a good sign. But wife made a major announcement like 48 hours ago. She said, hey, stomach's not feeling well. You can finish my chips. Whoa! Hey! Just,
As if you think there's something in that bag already, honey.
Right.
It's been empty for 2 days sitting in there.
No. She had it in her hand, but she was folding it up. All right. And she was putting the old clip on top of it. She's like, you can finish it. And I said to her, I go, did you have to tell me that, your stomach's bothering you a little bit? Couldn't you have just like faked it? Like, hey, I think so highly of you, warmly of you. I have such affection towards you that I am willing to share my chips with you, as opposed to, well, I'm really not feeling well these days. If you want, I guess you could finish these.
Well, you're the first option.
Considering there's no one else in the house and there's no
Right.
other options.
Right. Now, that is true. A month ago, I would have been the second option. She would have given them to the dog.
Oh, wait a minute. Boston just hit another 3.
40-16 in the fourth.
And 9-12 from beyond the arc.
That's pretty good. I mean, that's decent from the line. Never mind from the arc.
Just found a moment in time, and they couldn't miss for a period there.
You had a pretty good night last night. You had the over in the Celtics Warriors. You had Colorado. I'd loser for me everywhere. I had
that was an over.
I had the Warriors. I did have the over, but I had Edmonton.
No, you had the under.
Did I went under?
Yeah, you went under.
Did I really?
You did.
Wow.
You went the under and you laid the points, which is the opposite of what that's why.
Yeah, so that was bad by me. Fortunately, the A's didn't play a home game last night. There was no chance for me to win or lose on the guess the attendance for Oakland. But Miller and Moulton on this Friday. Hope you've had a good week. For many of you, it's been a 3+ day work week. These 4-day work weeks, we've been advocating for them for a long time. Let's do a little 10-hour day thing.
Yeah, and then we get kicked with a rainy weekend, though.
I
First
know.
little tropical whatnot of the year. I'm sure everybody's prepared. They've bought their alcohol and their beer and their chips, and they're set for the weekend.
Well, it may have to go grocery shopping this morning. May not be as prepared as you think, because it's starting early. I mean, it's starting today, and it's going to last through most of Saturday. Hopefully we can salvage something out of Sunday.
Lots of rain, not a lot of wind. A rain event is what is going to occur.
Right. And for those in Lake City and surrounding areas, they're like, what in the world are you talking about? Don't worry about it. You got nothing to worry about this time.
Well, and Tampa St. Pete might only get a part of it. I mean, Port Charlotte and where we are in Southwest Florida are going to get some serious rain, not anything else.
Yeah, maybe a spritz in Tampa St. Pete.
I find it funny how paranoid people get when in reality it's really just not much.
All right. I don't like it when we, quote, the media, unquote, get lumped together. All right. But much of this is our fault. And the viewer has to tolerate it for the 1 or 2 times a year in which it really is a big deal. But let's just say there's 23 of these suckers. We go through 23 names this year. It's full court press 23 times. We, the viewer,
we start tuning it out after a while. And then all of a sudden an Irma starts coming along and people aren't as prepared as they should be because we've had 5 rains with names and no one gets that interested.
Right.
And if you're born and raised. So for you understand it. When Irma came, it was my wife's first real storm. I'm like, you need to leave. No, I'll be fine. And then all of a sudden I said, no, you need to leave and you need to do it today. And then 3 days later, when she says, I want to go back to Pittsburgh, I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you because there's no flights left.
Right.
That's how this works. When I told you 3 days ago, if you want to go, you go now. I wasn't joking.
Right.
I've been here 20 plus years. This is how this works.
But don't you want to be there just to hold down the fort?
No. Not when you have children.
No.
It changes when you have little kids. It really does, Felipe.
It's horrifying.
Wife and kids will do wonders to your mental state when it comes to these storms. I always stay. I'm not an evacuator. So I would send them. But now that I have a young child, I would quickly, anything that's coming that's going to be major, no, you guys can get out of here. I can hang for a week. I'm good.
Yeah, one of the most helpless feelings in my life was what was September 2017, and we were out doing college football. We were in Arkansas also, which is one of the more difficult places to get back on Sunday at a decent hour, and couldn't get back in time. I, flew to Atlanta and got in the car and drove because there were no flights into Southwest Florida, and got as far as Ocala and had to stop because I didn't have enough gas to make it home, and none of the gas stations were open. And so wife, daughter, mother-in-law, pets, and there I was 200 miles away. Not a good feeling. And I set them up in a hotel, and I, calling in favors and this, that, and the other thing. And I get them in a hotel, and it's like 8 miles inland, and I'm feeling really good about myself. And then Jim Cantori's wrapped around the pole of the hotel I put them in. I'm like, oh my goodness. Was that Irma? Okay. That was the one when you and your wife, you were staying with friends.
Yeah, that was Irma.
And you were actually broadcasting. We were 1 week into our second act. I mean, talk about a sign, Felipe. So, we got this first act. We do 10 years together. We're, as it was told to us, we're somewhat successful. And so then, we both get fired separately. And we're in, adrift for over a year. And then we put Humpty Dumpty back together again, and we're coming back. Act 2, baby. And I mean, very rarely do you get an act 2. And we did 4 shows.
And the hurricane came and knocked the station off the air for 2 weeks.
During the 2 weeks, Mark and I looked at one another like, we should probably go back to those jobs we were doing, right? So...
And that's led us to this, Act 3, the Florida Sports Network. So good morning, Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, and Port Charlotte. We are very happy to be broadcasting in your areas, and hopefully the rain and the flooding that could occur with it will not be too bad. That's really our biggest issues with the weekend was going to be flooding. And
from a sports standpoint, the event that's going to be affected the most is probably the first round of the NCAA baseball tournament in Miami. Be honest with you. I mean, the Marlins can always close the darn roof. I mean, I guess if it gets too severe, they could cancel a game and schedule a doubleheader, but Braves are on the road. Miller and Moulton. We'll talk a little golf next hour. We'll actually dive into this whole PGA Tour LIV thing. We got a poll question coming up starting 5 in about 20 minutes. Thanks for listening on this Friday morning.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark, we're playing golf.
Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up now.
I'd like to thank Budweiser, Twin Peaks, and Southwest Florida Golf Carts. Got some good stuff there, flgolfcarts.com.
Where are you going to go? floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our tournament, Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Your golf will include your foursome and a chance to have lunch and awards after.
Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Alex.
Alex,
Alex.
is that who we're dealing with here? Boy or girl?
Great question.
Oh, you're talking about the storm name?
Yeah.
Alejandro. Oh, Horford hit a career high 6 threes.
It's the NBA today. Who hit their threes? Celtics? They won.
They both hit their. They combined for the most amount of 3-pointers in a finals game in NBA history.
I wonder if they also combined for the most attempts. That's what the game has become.
True. But they combined for 40. Warriors hit 19. Boston hit 21.
The attempts, 90.
Let's see. Boston had 41 attempts.
Yeah.
Golden State had 45 attempts.
86.
So, yeah.
Actually, good shooting. 40 for 86.
Oh, yeah. 51% from Boston and 42 from Golden State.
Think about that. They shot 51% and they shot 75% in the fourth quarter.
The Warriors forgot that it's 48 minutes, not 40 minutes. That's my analysis on the game. Because they were the better team until the 6-minute mark in the fourth quarter.
Are they Wranglers, Rattlers? What was Arizona?
They're the Arizona Wranglers. I don't think they were were they the Rattlers?
I don't think
No.
so.
University of Arizona?
They were the
Wranglers.
Wranglers. What was Neuheisel's Arizona AAF team?
David, that's your league.
I think they were the Hot Shots. I'll look this up.
No, Joel, we're on Twitch and YouTube like we are every morning.
Good morning, Paul. Yes, the Arizona Hot Shots.
Is the USFL season still going on?
Yes.
Yeah, funny how we forget about those leagues. I had a Valpak sent out their, monthly coupons,
Right.
and I was going to bring it in. You were on the road for the PGA, and so I saved it, and then I never bothered. But they had a Father's Day giveaway, Valpak, to win tickets to the championship of the USFL.
Oh. At Hall of Fame Stadium there in
Yeah.
Canton.
Steve Young played in the USFL.
So did Jim Kelly.
Yep.
Herschel Walker.
You should, in all seriousness, you should download the USFL 30 for 30. Wow. It'd be a good education for you. Yeah. Jim Kelly was in a meeting with the Buffalo Bills, ready to sign his contract. And Bruce Allen, who was the GM of one of the teams in the USFL, called the Bills secretary. And she walks into the meeting and says, Jim, you have a phone call. And Jim walks out, takes the phone call, and they basically say, don't sign the contract. We'll offer you double. Leave the room now. And Jim Kelly and his agent leave the room, fly to Houston, sign the richest deal at the time in professional football history, only to be topped by Steve Young's deal.
And how long did he play?
I think he played all 3 years, and he
Wow.
loved it.
Wow.
It's funny that they welcomed him with open arms the way they did, because Jim Kelly publicly was like, where would you rather play, Houston or Buffalo?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Did you hear Brady's comments yesterday?
Read through them.
They were interesting. I don't quite know what to make of them. So, as we know, he retired.
Right.
6 days after the season or whatever it was. And then, he came back. Not even 6 weeks later or so, it seemed. And he said that he came back when he did because he felt the pressure of free agency. And I guess he's implying that the team really needs to know. And if I'm really considering coming back, I need to do this sooner rather than later.
Well, yeah. How are you going to get any free agents if you don't come back?
Right. Well, so he is talking out loud and is saying, basically at the time I decided to come back, I was like 55, 45. 55 come back, 45 stay retired. But then once you make the decision, though, you got to get 100%. And I will say it is similar to what Gronk has said out loud in the last month or so when he's been interviewed, in which he's like, listen, if you're coming back, you got to be all in. 6+ months of this is the far and away the most important thing in your life. You push everyone else to the side, etc. That's the type of commitment it takes. And he's like, yeah, I'm not there. And it sounds like Brady wasn't really there either. So he's getting there.
It is a strange fact that he said he was 55, 45, basically. Of all the things to say you're coming back when you're basically halfway in and halfway out the door.
Right. I'm a little more, I'm leaning into the pool. If somebody pushes me from here, I can't stay.
And I might grab my legs and try to make a big splash, and I might just fall in.
I may try to grab you with me. But I thought those were interesting comments from Brady.
Just waiting on Gronk.
Yeah. And the Akeem Hicks signing certainly seems to signal an end to Ndamukong Suh's time in Tampa. There were even some tweets to that effect yesterday, not from the Bucs necessarily, but for people in and around the team. And I don't know that there's any money for JPP either. So going with what they got, which is pretty darn good.
It is.
It's pretty darn good.
It is, but, remember, and I mean, AB turned into a train wreck, but he was productive for them before then. Gronk was productive for them. That's two pieces of the offensive side that right now aren't there to start the season.
Well, and we've come to know what we were getting from Sue, and we've come to know what we get from JPP. And while Akeem Hicks is a really good player, we'll see in this system. We'll see with this group. Got to stay healthy. If they stay healthy, they'll be fine. They'll play deep into the sucker. And I think if they stay healthy, they're better than the Saints. So they'll win their division, and then, we take it from there. Probably win a first-round game, and then, right now, if I said to you, the Bucs will be in the divisional round of the playoffs.
Yes.
And then we take it from there. Oh, okay. Sounds about right.
Yeah, the question that I think everybody's question with the Bucs is, are they going to be are they going to be the team that can get the bye?
I'm curious if Green Bay can get the bye this year. And at what point, if you're Green Bay, do you just want to say, you know what? We won 3 road games to get to the Super Bowl in 2010. Who cares about this home field stuff? Whatever. It's just, we got number 12. Who cares where we play? Home, away. We can stink it up, or we could be great. Either place. Doesn't matter.
I don't think they'll, decline and want to play one more game, but there is something to be said that we put too much into this.
Well, yeah, because the Chiefs have had home field. Patrick Mahomes is yet to play a road playoff game. 4 years as a starting quarterback with the Chiefs. He's yet to play a road playoff game. But they've lost 2 AFC championship games at home, albeit both of them in overtime. I mean, come about as close as you can to being the Bills here, rattling off 4 in a row.
Also, that Super Bowl in Tampa was basically a road game, but not technically a road game.
Tell you what, though, I don't consider that a road game because what do we have? 20% attendance, 25%, plus it was a Super Bowl crowd. I mean, they fit in a few more. There was a bigger proportion of Bucs fans amongst the 25% than is normally in a stadium. But, I mean, it's not like Mahomes ever walked to the line of scrimmage and had to worry about the snap count because, they couldn't hear each other or anything. That's not a road game.
No, I mean, the Rams have had tougher road games in L.A.
The Chargers have had tougher road games at home. Miller and Moulton on this Friday. I kind of like having the NBA and NHL playoffs staggered here. Usually they're right on top of one another. The conference finals are at the same time for both. The finals are at the same time for both. Maybe it's just the sports talk show host in me. I kind of like the fact it's staggered. NBA finals first half of the month, Stanley Cup finals second half of the month.
We do get a nice break. Had both of them going on last night, but Edmonton didn't have much for Colorado last night, so it was pretty easy to switch to basketball as the Avs take a convincing 2-0 lead in that series as it heads north of the border.
People are watching sports again. TV ratings are good. Highest rated indie in a while. I mean, Warriors Celtics here, they're thinking they could do 10 million a game, which they haven't necessarily done in a while. I mean, the Western Conference hockey on TNT's doing 2 million a game,
which is unbelievable that it has a Canadian team and it's doing that number.
Right. And that's the West. Never mind if this, Rangers Lightning series goes 6-7 and the New York team can, keep it so that people think they might actually win it for a while.
Look at you over there.
No. I'm just talking about if you're ESPN.
Oh,
you're
no,
like,
I know. You'd love to have this be 3-2 New York, no matter who wins.
Oh, well, ESPN would just, they'd be rolling around in the streets. They'd be so happy if the Rangers would be up 3-2 in this series. Are you kidding?
And I'm sure the Rangers would draw a bigger number in the final, but a 3-peat's what we're looking for.
Yeah. It's been 40 years. 17 consecutive wins after a loss in the playoffs for the Lightning. 2.5 playoffs here. 17 consecutive wins after a loss. They've not lost 2 consecutive playoff games since they got swept by Columbus in 2019. That's stunning.
That is an absolutely staggering stat right there. If there's ever a time to just hammer a team on the money line, it's tonight in the Tampa Bay Lightning.
And it obviously doesn't matter home or away. Think about it. Vasilevsky 17-0 after a loss. Don't you have to pound the Lightning tonight?
Absolutely.
Just back up the truck on the Lightning tonight?
Back up the truck,
Really?
David.
We're going that far?
Yes.
Because there's pound and then there's back up the truck.
Back up the truck on the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight, David.
All right. I'm just pounding. That's all. I'm not backing up. No beep, beep, beep. Not tonight.
No, that's the Brinks truck going right to the casino door saying, come on, baby, load this sucker up. The Lightning are winning game 2. We're Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark, we're playing golf.
Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up now.
I'd like to thank Budweiser, Twin Peaks, and Southwest Florida Golf Carts. Got some good stuff there. FLGolfCarts.com.
Where are you going to go? floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our tournament Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Your golf will include your foursome and a chance to have lunch and awards after.
Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Although he did text in the middle last night. He goes, you know who's not good on television? Wayne Gretzky. And I text him back. I go, we all said he wouldn't be.
All these and that, did you happen to see before the game? It's hot. They're outside. That looks over at Gretzky. He goes, what I want to know is how you're dealing with that vest right now. I'm sweating my bag off here. Gretzky about loses it.
I'm sweating my bag off here.
And Liam says, and I didn't hear the beginning of it, but Liam goes, well, 30 seconds ago, you said, when am I going to say something that's, when am I going to say, or when am I going to put my foot in my mouth? Took you about 30 seconds there, Beast. Now, will Kirsten go overseas? You know?
Well, I don't know how many of them are, the whole European thing, I don't know what's going to come of the European Women's Basketball League, but probably she'll need the money.
So I was looking at a tweet here of all the guys that retired. Frank Gore's a Hall of Famer, right?
Oh, yeah. What's he, third all time?
Yeah, so you got Gore and Ben off of this that are automatics.
Well, did Gore play last year? I don't think he did.
You were talking about ratings. You know that Celtics Heat Game 7 was the most watched conference finals game in 4 years, I think.
You're right. He did not play last year.
And remember, now, did you say Eastern Conference Final?
Conference final.
Okay. And remember, that involved LeBron 4 years ago. I mean, that's 2018.
So yeah, right.
I mean, that's his last year
In
with the
Cleveland.
Celtics, right? I mean, the Cavs.
Yeah. It was probably since that game 7 against the Celtics. Celtics.
All right, RCB, it's real simple. TNT hired hockey play-by-play guys. And ESPN just promoted sportscasters from within. Seriously. So first off, the announcing is so much better on TNT.
By the way, that's 100% true. I watch games on TNT.
Well, it's not I'm not stating an opinion there. I'm just telling you a fact. TNT hired hockey play-by-play guys. ESPN promoted announcers.
I've heard you guys talk about it on the show before, and I watched the game on TNT, and then I watched a game on ESPN, and I'm like, there's a winner here.
By the way, your pickup truck thing that you talk about is called either the Carolina Lean or the Carolina Squat.
Pickup truck?
The
What?
pickup truck lean thing.
Oh, the
It's
lean.
called the
oh.
Carolina Lean. I've had 2 people text me over the Carolina Squat, which I thought was funny. Someone texted after the show yesterday. Carolina Squat, truck front high, back low, being outlawed in the Carolinas.
I texted a kid I know that, whatever, he's like a truck guy, and I asked him, what is the purpose of squatting your truck? And he said, no purpose.
None.
Clout. That's what he said. And I'm like, well, no, there's no clout in that.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Golf tournament sold out?
Not yet.
Real close,
Close.
though, right? Probably 2, 3 foursomes. That's about it.
That's about right.
So, week from tomorrow, you want to play golf, raise some money for charity, have a good time, we advise you to go to floridasportsnetwork.com and sign up. First Miller and Moulton golf tournament, hoping to have a few throughout the course of the summer, and make it a yearly thing in every market that we are on. Pat Kerwin is going to join us in a little more than an hour to talk a little NFL. Michael McCarthy from Front Office Sports to talk the whole PGA Tour LIV Golf Series war, which is what it's about to become.
It's going to get ugly quickly because the tour is going to lean on club manufacturers next. That's the rumor that's out there. Do they start getting the TaylorMades of the world to not spend their sponsorship dollars with those that are leaving the tour?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, the PGA Tour only has one route they can go to nip this right away. They have to convince the majors to shut out these golfers.
And I don't know how they can do that.
Well, I mean, people can just change the rules. Now, it would be seemingly untenable. I don't know how you call yourself an open and be that you're open for 99% of the golfers in the world, but not you guys. No. You play golf over there. You can't play in our tournament.
And welcome to the closed championship
Right.
at St. Andrews,
Right.
the home of golf.
I'm sorry. You've won one of these before? No, you're not allowed. Sorry. Because that's, for me, Mark, if you're a Dustin Johnson, and I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent, we got the starting 5 coming up, but if you're a Dustin Johnson, if you can play in the 4 majors, which right now you can, what do you need the PGA Tour for? Whatever money you're going to lose in sponsorship, you're more than making up for by playing on the LIV series. Whether you're getting appearance fees and whether the $125 million story that's out there is true or not, just the purses alone and your talent on that tour in a limited field, you're going to clean up. I mean, you playing 8 events on the LIV Tour would be like you playing 24 events on the PGA Tour and having 10 wins. So let me get this straight. I get to make my money and still play for the majors?
Again, the PGA might be able to pull something off. I don't see how the USGA and the RNA could ever pull off what you're talking about. I don't
know how even the PGA can pull it off because they've got 20 club pros in there. They're not members of the PGA Tour. You know, that they had amateurs. They had guys from overseas who don't play on the PGA Tour that were in the PGA Championship that qualified through, there's numerous ways to quote unquote qualify.
Wait, there was amateurs in it? I didn't think there was any amateurs in the tournament. PGA's all pros.
Okay, I thought there was, but all right. But I mean, 20 club pros alone who are not members of the PGA Tour. The Masters is by invitation.
Correct.
Now, the Masters is the one that could do it. I mean,
they could do whatever they want because
Right.
it is the Master. It is the Augusta National Invitational. I mean, that's
Correct.
really what the tournament is.
Right. We can make, I mean, let's face it. They didn't allow blacks to play until Lee Elder. I mean, they made up their own rules. They could do it.
Yeah, you had to use your own caddies for the longest time there. You couldn't use your own caddy. I mean, so
Augusta
they
could
can
do it.
whatever they want.
But it would seem as if the other 3 majors would have to twist themselves into a staggering pretzel to ban these golfers.
Yeah, I think the PGA would be in order, it would be the Masters would be the easiest. The PGA would be the next easiest. How the Open and the U.S. Open do it would be beyond me. And I think they would, sorry, David, but I think they would be inviting lawsuits if they did this.
I think the PGA would be easier to sue. I think it would be tough to sue Augusta.
No, I think it would be easy to sue the USGA if they started to make this close.
Totally.
That's why they won't. Because they not only would they be sued, they'd lose in a hurry.
The starting 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Celtics rallied from 12 down at the start of the fourth quarter to win by 12, 120-108. Al Horford was the man, 26 points. Jaylen Brown with 24. Derek White off the bench with 21. They compensated for Tatum having a horrible night, 3 for 17 from the field. Think about that. You go into Golden State, win by 12. Your best player is horrible.
It's the first time in NBA history that a team down 10 points or more heading to the fourth quarter wins.
Steph with 34, although 21 of them were in the first half. Most lopsided fourth quarter mark in NBA Finals history, 40-16. The Celtics outscored them. First home loss in the playoffs for Golden State. Celtics have won 4 in a row on the road. Lost game 1 to Miami, won games 2, 5, and 7, and then game 1 here. They're 8-2 on the road in the playoffs. Game 2 is Sunday. One other NBA note, Phil Knight has offered over $2 billion for the Portland Trailblazers. They're not officially for sale, but Paul Allen, their owner, died 4 years ago. The Blazers, along with the Seahawks, are in a family trust, and they are going to be sold. They're just apparently not on the market right now. Phil Knight and another investor, a part owner of the Dodgers, is trying to convince the Blazers, hey, why don't we just take care of this now? I mean, come on. We all know you're going to sell. $2 billion, and right now they're saying, no, we're good. Colorado took a 2-0 lead in the Western Conference Final, 4-0 over Edmonton. Pavel Francouz with 24 saves. Kadri with 3 assists in the second period. Avs with 2 goals 15 seconds apart in the second period. Series shifts to Edmonton. Game 2 tonight in New York. Lightning, as we've mentioned, 17 consecutive wins after a loss in the playoffs in the last 2.5 years. 17 in a row. They'll need to make it 18 to even their series with the Rangers at a game apiece. Game 3 will be Sunday, I believe, afternoon in Tampa. Oh, by the way, Calgary's Darryl Sutter voted Coach of the Year. Baseball, Rays beat Texas 3-1. Corey Kluber with 1 earned run in 6 innings. Marlins 3-0 at home against the Giants. Sandy Alcantara 6-2 on the year. He had 7 shutout innings. He gave up just 3 hits.
The Sandman.
Angels have lost 8 in a row, Mark. 6-1 and 2-1. The Yankees swept the doubleheader. Ohtani got rocked in the first game. Jameson Taillon took a perfect game into the 8th. Then he gave up a run, only for the Yankees to score 2 in the bottom of the 8th. Angels had bases loaded in the 9th. Didn't score. They've lost 8 in a row. Toronto's won 8 in a row. They beat the White Sox 8-3. Tigers have quietly won 7 of 9, Mark. They beat the Twins 3-2. The Guardians are now in second in that division, 4.5 back of Minnesota. Dodgers shut out the Mets. First time the Mets have been shut out all year, 2-0. Justin,
They deserve it. They've been shutting out everybody. Every once in a while, they need to have it happen to them.
I agree. Baseball's a sobering game. Justin Turner's hit streak's up to 25. Think about it. He gets hits in every game for 4 more weeks. He'll be within about a week or so of DiMaggio. Braves 13-6 over Colorado. Travis d'Arnaud with a homer and 6 RBIs thanks to a slam. Cubs hit 3 homers and a 7-5 win over the Cards. Goldschmidt's hitting streak's up to 24. Brewers extended their lead to 3 in the division with a 5-4 win over San Diego. Reds beat Washington 8-1.
Where are you going to go?
Seattle 7-6-10 over Baltimore.
You know the answer is the Royals now.
I know. We got to start making fun of them. They're getting off easy in this whole thing. Between A's attendance and the Reds.
Right.
The women's final set in the French Open, American Coco Gauff, the 18-year-old, yet to lose a set in this tournament, becoming the youngest to make a major final in 21 years. She'll face the number 1 player in the world, Iga Swiatek, who's won 34 matches in a row. Men's semis today, Nadal will take on Zverev. Golf, the Memorial, 6-way tie for the lead at 5 under. Cam Smith, one of those at 5 under. U.S. Women's Open, some remarkable stories yesterday. Mina Haragay is your leader. The American is 7 under par. But Sweden's Ingrid Lindblad, an amateur, a 22-year-old from LSU, shot a 6 under 65. Lowest round by an amateur ever in the U.S. Women's Open. They've played, over 75 of those
77 times they've played this tournament. It's the lowest score ever by an amateur. Very impressive.
An amateur won this event 1 time back in 67, I believe. Nelly Korda, her first round back since the blood clots in her arms. She shot a 1 under 70. Michelle Wee West, 2 over 73. Annika was even through 14, but finished with a 3 over 74. The leader, by the way, played 1 year at Duke, Haragay. And so she said the North Carolina vibes because they're at Pine Needles. And what's interesting, though, is that she's apparently wearing like Air Jordan golf shoes, which I don't quite know. She said something about the Air Jordans, which is interesting because she played at Duke. Yet she's
still the Jordans.
She's inspired by Jordan. Tom Brady said he felt pressure because of free agency to unretire when he did. College softball, Oklahoma State, Texas, and the Gators. First game winners in the College World Series. It's a double elimination event. Florida beat Oregon State 7-1 to advance in the winners bracket. College baseball tournament gets underway today. Canes game against Canisius moved up to 10 a.m. They're worried about the storms. Florida State takes on UCLA at noon. The Gators host Central Michigan at 6:30. And that, gentleman, was...
That was the starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Well, listen, there's 2 things that we have to worry about with Felipe. 1, is he awake? The answer to that was yes. 2, is he paying attention?
I'll cut him slack on the end of the starting 5 because you go to the end sounder about 60% of the time. A lot of the time, the starting 5 runs right up against the break. So I'll cut him a tiny bit of slack for that one.
Fair enough.
Put it this way, David. The bullpen's up and warming up, but I'm not going to go to the hook yet.
Right. So right.
Stretching and tossing.
You weren't ready for the hard throws just yet. You were waiting for the appearance from the pitching coach to the mound, and it didn't happen. It was just a quick hook. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Winner, by the way, U.S. Women's Open, $1.8 million. I mean, they've dramatically raised the purses in some of the big events on the LPGA Tour here in the last couple of years. So this amateur had a decision to make. I mean, I think she just won the SEC championship. I mean, she's turning pro within the next year. And she had a choice to make before this event. And she decided, we'll do one more year as an amateur.
Ouch.
Well, she was asked about it afterwards. Hey,
I don't know what those NIL golf things at LSU have, but I don't think it's this, David.
I don't either.
What's that Tiger Collective got for you now, honey? Son of a gun.
Right. And you do have to declare before the tournament.
Right.
You can't do it after the 36-hole cut or what have you. So she said, no, I've kind of committed to this and it's okay. But then she said, got to admit, it would have been nice to make a little change this week. Obviously, no guarantee she stays up on the leaderboard,
right.
But still.
But a great start for the amateur. Wow. 77-year history of the tournament. No one's ever done better than that before. That's impressive.
65.
Right.
I don't care if the course was playing a little easier than it normally has. Still, 65 is 65.
You're damn right
on
it
a par
is.
71.
You're
also.
damn right it is.
So that's going on the same time as the Memorial. Miller and Moulton. We'll talk a little golf next hour. The whole PGA Tour LIV thing.
You want to text the show, text FSN Radio. That is the keyword to 21,000. FSN Radio to 21,000. Once you've done that, you are in and can text as much or as little as you would like. I love the text coming of people downloading the show. So they text at all hours of the day. Whether it's yesterday, Felipe talking about the trucks and then giving us the breakdown of what they call the California lean that apparently is being outlawed, or the Carolina lean that's being outlawed in the Carolinas, which I find fantastic. We still have a couple hours left on our truck poll question from yesterday, where Felipe claimed that anybody who drives a pickup truck has a little bit of a-hole in them.
Right, which I have to admit drew a lot of angst towards us because of that. We should have qualified that was your question. Is it a lean or a squat?
It's a squat, but look, I don't make the rules, okay? That's a label that I feel like most people mutually agree on.
Actually, based on the numbers of the poll question, they're not agreeing as much as you would like, Felipe. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
Mark, we're playing golf.
Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up now.
I'd like to thank Budweiser, Twin Peaks, and Southwest Florida Golf Carts. Got some good stuff there, flgolfcarts.com.
Where are you going to go? floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our tournament Saturday, June 11th, the West Bay Club in Estero. Your golf will include your foursome and a chance to have lunch and awards after.
Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater. they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Opening day in baseball, MLB opening day. First day of March Madness.
Could you put the Derby? We do 9 hours of pregame. The Olympics.
Olympics, I like it.
Opening day baseball, Super Bowl, the Olympics. Is March Madness overhyped? I mean, they're all overhyped.
Well, that's what I said.
No.
NFL draft. 2 NFLs on it.
I don't want to have 2 NFLs, but man, you could just do the most overhyped NFL first day of free agency opening. You know what I mean?
Right. Not in Toledo. He said that's what Flow TV is for, guys.
He watches the games.
I text him while he was on the air because the Newfoundland game started at 5:30, and I text him at the commercial break, bottom of the hour. They go to their thing,
Right.
And I text him and I go, "Does Jim realize that you're not going to be paying attention for the final 90 minutes of the show because you're watching ECHL hockey?" He texted.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Friday, the first such Friday of June. Thanks so much for being with us here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Text the show. If you haven't before, it's FSN Radio, all one word, FSN Radio to 21,000. And then you can just text to your heart's content, and we'll get them from now until the end of time. You can watch the show on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel. Once there's a purple follow button. Man, that would make Mark Miller happy. Just click on it. Follow us if you want. Subscribe to us and get rid of the commercials. And part of the appeal of Twitch is not only being able to see us, and people think I'm wearing some kind of Star Trek shirt today.
I see where that comes from. I totally get that the A-Sun logo does look as if you are an officer on the Starship Enterprise.
It's a big A, of which it makes me feel like I'm an assistant captain for
the Atlanta Flames with that A too, by the way, because it's not like a real A. It's either Atlanta Flames or Star Trek. I like that. For the longest time, I thought it was a USFL logo. Is what it has the look of to me.
It did have an Arizona Wrangler look to it, didn't it?
It does.
I was thinking I was a member of Rick Neuheisel's Arizona Hot Shots staff in the AAF. Maybe this is the compensation that I got from the AAF. They owed me $1,000. Instead, they sent me this lousy shirt. One of those deals. But anyway, so no, it is not a Star Trek shirt. It is an A-Sun conference shirt. Broadcast some A-Sun baseball last week. They said you need to wear these shirts, which is funny because they never put me on camera. Yet, had to wear the shirts.
It's all relatable to me. Good for them. Good for them making you wear a uniform. I'm proud of them.
Right. You are big into certain attire.
I don't like the broadcasters looking trashy.
Well, who says I was going to look trashy?
Nobody out loud, but they may have thought it.
Well, I'm sure. Hey, listen, come on now. When I do hoops, I wear a shirt and a tie and a jacket.
I know. You look good.
I channel my inner Mark Miller there.
You look good.
But you don't have the same dress code you used to, though.
No, my dress code's gone.
Right. Now we look at the golf booth and we wonder why it is they wear shirts and ties and jackets.
Why are they not in a golf shirt?
I don't understand it either. I mean, they all work for major networks. I'm sure they can get shirts with their own logo. I mean, Hello Friends could have just a big, eye right there on his, top of his left breast area there. Here you go.
Could we handle Nance in a golf shirt? Nance has been in a suit and tie for everything for 30 years. To see him look differently would be a huge difference, I think, to a lot of people.
What if all of a sudden for the memorial, he just goes with the open collar look? Still has the blazer on, but just the dress shirt, open collar, no tie. I mean, just
Golf World wouldn't be able to handle that.
Oh my goodness. It'd be more controversial in this whole LIV golf series. Man. Speaking of which, we'll talk about that in a little more than 30 minutes time. What's our poll question?
It's almost up because we do have a tropical storm warning for the better part of South Florida. And it is expected that we will have Tropical Storm Alex at some point here in the next couple of days. So it's our first named storm.
Maybe hitting the west coast of Florida this afternoon, evening. Maybe.
So in honor of the first named storm of the 2022 hurricane season, what is the most overhyped sporting event? Because you won't be able to get much else on your local news other than the rain that's going to happen that they're going to beat you over the head with. And as we talked about, this is where Floridians get annoyed.
Yes, because if you've been here more than 3 hours, you're able to decipher what's a big deal and what's not. And so when it's not, and this is not, fortunately, this looks to be like 30 to 50 mile an hour winds and a 2-day rain event.
And a lot of rain. We could get flooding.
Yes.
That is not good.
Right.
We're not trying to make light of the fact that,
but this is not
a catastrophic storm the way in which
we can get. But the coverage is often, the intensity level is often in the ballpark from what is considered a minor weather event to a major weather event. And we get it. I mean, we've worked in the local media. We get it. You'd rather be guilty of taking something too serious than not serious enough. Totally get it. And besides, you're in the ratings game. I mean, the most important thing in local news is weather. You have a weather event. You call in the cavalry here, baby. Hit the streets. I want live coverage in a vehicle. Wipers going. It's raining. Yes. And then I want you to go to the other city. I want you to drive in the opposite direction. Same cars. So wipers going. It's raining.
Who do we have at the beach? Who do we have at the beach?
Walk the beach. Walk it north, then walk it south. Yes, we know there's no one behind except the 3 stupid people that are swimming in the Gulf.
Get the surfer out of the picture. Get the surfer out of the picture.
Right.
There are people running towards the shore. They are sailing.
I always love it is funny when they're out, and as you can see, the wind is whipping and this, that, and the other thing. You got the 4 people in the Gulf of Mexico that are going, oh, this is fun.
Well, you got the guy who's got himself anchored down from the Weather Channel, and then 2 people just walk by looking at him like, what the hell are you doing?
Well,
so what is the most overhyped sporting event out there? And I've got 3 that I think I'm very comfortable with.
All right.
The Super Bowl.
Well, it is kind of hyped.
Opening day of baseball.
Hyped.
The Olympics.
Really hyped.
And then I have March Madness right now, and I don't know if that is a worthy 4th option.
Okay, but when you say overhyped, it kind of sounds like you're saying overrated.
No. I'm saying overhyped.
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 Overhyped as in the most hyped.
Yes.
Yeah, as in
Well,
too much hype.
There's one answer.
I don't have the NBA Finals on here.
It's the Super Bowl.
Not necessarily. First of all, the Olympics has about 6 months worth of buildup.
They start hyping up the Masters quite early.
Yeah, during the NFL playoffs.
Right.
The music, you start hearing the music. Yep. So they give you about a 10-week lead up to Augusta. And, there's a lot of people that aren't into golf. And so they look around at others and go, it's a golf tournament, guys.
So is it Madness or Augusta for our 4th choice?
I would vote Madness.
Then that's it. It's done. It's up.
Because, and here's why. Because we can be fired up for the tournament, and we can go at least the first day, sometimes damn near the whole first round, and have very few to no upsets. Now, we got a giant killer this year. St. Peter's right out of the chute took down Kentucky. So this year, boom, lived right up to it. But, we're broadcasting from Southwest Florida. Part of the reason that added to the appeal of FGCU, a.k.a. Dunk City, 9 years ago was, there are 4 first-round sessions. Thursday early, Thursday late, Friday early, Friday late. We had gone 3 sessions. There was not an upset. There was nothing more than a 10 over a 7. There was no Cinderella. And then the first game of the Friday night session was FGCU of 15 taken down to 2, Georgetown. And literally the country is kind of foaming at the mouth, kind of like, hey, come on, when's this tournament going to start? When's a big boy going to go down? And then a big boy went down, and everybody was like, okay, we got a team. We can root for these guys.
You're right. The tournament starts with the first big upset.
It's some years we have the damn near first game of the tournament. We get a 14 taken down to 3 or something like that. And we're like, okay.
And I would just vote the Olympics every single time on this.
Well, I mean, let's face it. You have, there are 9 people in this country that are watching the Olympic channel outside of the Olympics, and your wife is one of them.
Maybe that's why I have found this to be a little overhyped. When I'm hearing about who's going to compete in the men's gymnastics 3 years from now.
Right. Mark feels as if he works for NBC Universal, and he's so up on the Olympics.
I will say the build up to the Olympics is pretty big.
Yeah.
That music. Boom, boom,
they have to come up with their, I love how every time they need a new theme every 4 years for the gymnastics team. Have you caught on to that?
Mm-hmm.
That's their thing. They have their Olympic music, But then they have the gymnastics team, the women's gymnastic team gets its own music. They have to figure out what is the proper music going to be for this gymnastics team. I mean, think of all the meetings that are involved with that. I mean, that's a whole year of planning right there.
Probably more meetings for Olympics or for local weather for hurricane coverage.
I'd go Olympics.
Close.
Yes, because it's only about 3 to 5 days worth of meetings for a storm. You know, I mean, yeah, I know they pointed out 10 days from now, we got something coming from the Yucatan. It may enter, our area code. Oh, okay. We'll start paying attention in 5 to 7 days.
But don't kid yourself. Hurricane season starts June 1. They start hyping hurricane season in May.
Oh, absolutely. The guides, Mark, the hurricane guides.
Whenever local news busts out those graphics where they show you the different levels of the hurricanes, I love that.
My wife scared to death last night. All of a sudden, she's got the local news on, and they had the red hurricane thing out. And, as if it's coming our way. And she's like, uh-oh, I'm scared. I go, it says 30 miles an hour under it. I mean, 30. It was blowing harder Monday. All right, we're good.
Yeah, I've played golf in worse weather than we're going to
right.
get.
I mean, it's a 2 to 3 club win. That's basically what they're saying right there. Downwind, you could hit your wedge about 160 is what they're saying. Into the wind from 160, you need to play a 6-iron back in your stance. Okay, I mean that's what we're talking about here.
It's maybe a 3-club wind if it gets really bad, but we're talking a 2-club wind. It's not that big of a deal. So that's our poll question for today. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FL Sports Network on Twitter or floridasportsnetwork.com to vote.
If you're of a certain age, remember when we couldn't get a good Super Bowl? I mean, there's a whole generation. I mean, Felipe, your generation has we get a good Super Bowl damn near every year. We went a generation where we couldn't get a game.
That's why we got so into the championship games, because so many times the AFC Championship or the NFC Championship game was the de facto Super Bowl.
Right. In the 70s, it was the AFC Championship game more times than not that was the Super Bowl. And the 80s into the 90s, it was the NFC Championship game that was the de facto Super Bowl.
The Cowboys won other Super Bowls in the 90s or the 80s?
Yes.
And
the 70s.
They won
both.
They won none in the 80s. They won their 2 in the 70s and 3 in the 90s. They were in and around the game for 30 years, but they won it in the 70s and the 90s. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening, Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark, we're playing golf.
Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up now.
I'd like to thank Budweiser, Twin Peaks, and Southwest Florida Golf Carts. Got some good stuff there, flgolfcarts.com.
Where are you going to go? floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our tournament Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Your golf will include your foursome and a chance to have lunch and awards after.
Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
They give that a hit. I hope.
I think they did.
Test, test, test. Whoa. Okay, before I thought I sounded a little echoey. I still do. Maybe that's just on my end.
Remember, they've lost 7 in a row at that moment.
Oh.
So what do we got here?
Want to do the Horford thing here?
Yeah, I like it.
Gets us to an interview. Gets us to Pat.
Paul, we were talking sports, not a reality TV show.
Did I sound echoey there in that last segment? The audio sounded fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, on my end, it sounds weird.
DC, I agree with you, but that's their thing.
See, Mark, I thought you were using overhyped or
Hyped.
overhyped. You said overhyped, right?
Yeah.
In the sense that, like, oh
No, I was using it in the reality of the word.
no, but I thought you were saying in the context of this tropical storm, and the fact that it's people
Right,
are hyping it up to be a lot, but it's actually not anything. And I thought you were talking about what sport event is like that.
Yeah.
Where pe-
That's
exactly what I'm
we're
talking about.
asking. Yeah.
the Super Bowl, but to your point, there was a whole generation of Super Bowls that didn't deliver. And again, all I know about Super Bowls is that they're really amazing games.
Right. So you would so why would you answer Super Bowl? It's hyped, but it delivers. And think about it. It was 2 weeks of hype for this game. When the Rams Bengals was over, did you go, boy, that was a disappointment?
No.
No. Then it wasn't overhyped.
Okay. Then it was Olympics, Super Bowl, World Series.
No. MLB opening day. What was
Yeah,
it?
opening day in March Madness. That's tough because I like all four. The best part about the Olympic theme song is when it goes dun 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 dun. Shh.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Florida Sports Network, Southwest Florida. Fort Myers, Naples. Port Charlotte, Venice. Probably some rain the next couple days. Winds 30 to 50 miles an hour at times. Be some flooding. Be careful. Tampa, St. Pete. They say you'll miss most of this. And Lake City, probably wondering what the heck we're talking about. That's not a bad thing. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. You miss any part of the show, you can download our podcasts. I believe we got 2, maybe 3 foursomes left in our golf tournament a week from tomorrow. If you want to join us, raise some money for Folds of Honor. Certainly a worthy cause. Have a good time. We'll feed you, laugh it up, give you a nice shirt. Thank you for supporting Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network.
So I got a text, or we got a text from someone just giving us some Al Horford statistics. And so I had to look them up. And it's a remarkable career for Horford because you can literally see the line in which the game changed. Al Horford, in his first 8 seasons, 2 of them he had injuries and missed a lot of games. One year he played just 11 games. 1 year he played 29 games. But in his first 8 years, he attempted 65 three-point shots.
So averaged 8 3-point attempts a year for the first 8 years of his career.
Right. And in the 8th year, he took 36. So before that, he was taking, he had, 5, 1, 6, and then he had 11 in 2013, 2014. He had 36. He was really firing it.
He actually attempted more threes that year than he had in the first 7 years of his career combined.
Correct. And he went 11 of 36. So, 30%, 31%, not bad. In the 2015-2016 season, he attempted 256 three-pointers.
You mean the year that the Warriors won 72 games?
Yeah.
256 threes?
256. This past year, he attempted 265. And he's a very good three-point shooter. Very good. 36% for his career.
Yeah. That's good. And for a big man.
But it's just amazing to me that you can clearly see the line in which the game changed.
So you mean to tell me 1 year he attempted 36 threes and the next year he attempted like 236?
256. He made 23 more three-pointers in the 15-16 season than he had attempted in his entire career before that.
Well, that's Steph and the Warriors right there.
I was about to say that's thanks to his opponent.
Yeah, that's
100%.
That's his and their influence on the game.
But it's, to me, it's such a case because guards, forwards, shoot threes. The numbers aren't going to be that staggering. Here's a guy that 65 three-point shots through 8 years. And the next year he takes 256.
That is stunning. That it wasn't gradually he went from 36 to 86 to 156 to 256. Right. Hey, we want you to shoot more threes this year. Well, what are you talking? Now, we want you to shoot more threes, like 500 jumpers a day during the offseason.
You want to know where the fountain of youth for Al Horford came from? It was shooting three-pointers. I don't have to go inside and bang for 48 minutes every night. I don't have to get beat up every night. They actually want me to hang out outside the arc, pick, pop, pass. This is a hell of a lot easier on my body than getting down in the paint and beating it down every night.
It was the same case for Brook Lopez as well. They had the same kind of changes to their career.
That's true. Guys who were low post players, and then basically it's like, I don't know what to tell you, man. The game's changing. We're not going to throw you the ball down there. So you better find a spot on the floor where you think you can hit a 23 to 25 footer.
Think Al Horford at age 20 playing for the University of Florida. Think he ever thought he was going to be popping 263s a year?
And the difference as to why he has stayed in the league and thrived versus his teammate at Florida, who when he started his NBA career was a force. Noah can't shoot. and never developed it either.
God, was he a bad shooter?
Really bad shooter, great defender, rebounder, the whole deal, but that can only take you so far in today's game.
So a little text that just had a couple of years on there, and I had to dig and make sure it was right. And I started looking at the numbers, and it is just staggering to me.
Well, like we had it today was the day when about a week ago, in which it was Magic's game 6 against the Sixers in 1980. And the game was like 122 to 106, something like that. I mean, it's not like there weren't points scored in the game. There were. And there were 8 3-pointers attempted in the whole game. And not a single one made.
Al Horford played 9 seasons in Atlanta. He played in 578 games. He took 321 3-pointers in that time. He played for Philadelphia for 1 season. He took 283 3-pointers in that season.
We want you to shoot the 3. Well, what are you talking about? We want you to shoot the 3. Like, if you enter the lane offensively, we're going to take you off the floor. The only reason you're allowed to enter the lane on offense is to grab an offensive rebound. Otherwise, you can't play.
I mean, in the bubble, he shot 152 threes in 28 games.
Wow. I mean, that's over 5 a game.
Yeah.
Hell, he had years where he didn't shoot 5.
Bingo.
And as of right now, he is the front runner for Finals MVP.
We're one night in. Let's slow your roll just a little bit.
Hey, you never know.
Although I do think that sometimes performance in the rounds leading up to it can also kind of carry over. I think it's not only do you get a finals MVP, sometimes it's a playoffs MVP vote in the finals, sometimes not. But in case you missed it, maybe you went to bed when Golden State was up 12 after 3. Boston won by 12. 40-16, the Celtics outscored the Warriors in the fourth quarter. Most lopsided fourth quarter in NBA Finals history. Just the second time this century that each team led by 15 or more points in the game.
Boston 9 of 12 from beyond the arc in the final quarter.
Horford at 26 to lead 3 Cs who scored 20 or more points. Derek White with 21 off the bench. That's what normally doesn't happen. You know, they talk all the time. The role players usually shoot better at home. They're more comfortable than on the road. Derek White throws in 21 for the Celtics to make up for Jason Tatum going 3 for 17.
He had 12 assists, though.
Yep, I was going to say, in a bad game, he distributed the ball. He shot the ball awfully, but he was able to distribute the ball, get 12 assists. And they kept talking about it during the game, is that as badly as he's playing, he is still being a big contributor on the offensive side of the ball. That's what superstars are supposed to do, and that's what he did last night.
And who was the guy who ended up playing for Marcus Smart for a good chunk of the fourth quarter because the Celtics were on a roll?
Pritchard?
No,
Pritchard?
Thought it was somebody else that the head coach mentioned, in which he said, you know, here's Smart, the defensive player of the year, but we had a good thing going, and normally he plays. Okay, but I kept him on the bench for a few minutes longer in the fourth quarter, and he was cool with it. He's like, hey, we're on a roll, man. I wouldn't put me in either. Game 2 Sunday. Boston up 1-0. First home loss for the Warriors in the playoffs. Boston 8-2 on the road, including 4 wins in a row. And think about where those 4 wins have taken place. 3 in Miami and 1 in the Bay Area.
Remember, Lee Ellis on the show yesterday did talk about, and the Celtics are great on the road, but they haven't been terrific at home. I think just 5-4 at home in the postseason.
I mean, Miami hadn't lost a home playoff game, right? Until Boston
No.
won all 3. And Golden State hadn't lost a home playoff game until last night. Man, the Celtics are playing well on the road. Looking for title number 18. Move ahead of the Lakers. Just 4 losses in the finals, too. We talked about that yesterday. Miller and Moulton. Pat Kerwin to talk all things NFL coming up at the top of the hour here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, Are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Ever since Derek White became a father, he's been shooting like Ray Allen. DC, you're right, man. He's on fire.
Paul, I've got no answer for you on that.
Paul,
I have no answer. I don't know if it's. I think that was a little bit of California last night, Paul. But for the life of me, I don't know why coaches are wearing masks anymore.
You know, I have a thought about that. I don't understand it either, but one thing I did think about was maybe they're trying to stay stuff like under their. You know how sometimes they cover their mouth.
No.
I don't think that's it at all. They just cover their mouths.
With the mask, you just go like that. Boom.
No one would wear a mask on purpose for the purpose of covering their mouths when they talk. Nobody. I think they're being told by the league to wear them.
I will say, though, Lisa Salters didn't have a mask on the sidelines last night.
No.
That's like the first time I've noticed that, because
No one had a mask.
I mean, in hockey,
Coaches do.
both
What's this
networks
coach?
have had masks on.
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure out why. I don't think it's coming from the league.
By the way, you were right about Van Gundy. I think it was Mark. No Van Gundy, no Frank Breen.
Yeah, Breen didn't pass in the afternoon. Also, Woj tested
Really?
positive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, Mark Jones is good and all, but Mike Breen.
It's funny. He got a lot of, for whatever it's worth. Twitter was all over him in the fourth quarter last night. And people in the business also didn't think he did a good job.
I mean, it also is just the fact that you're watching the finals and it's not Mike Breen. Mike Breen has been synonymous with the voice of the NBA finals since 2006?
Yeah, he's done 15 of them now?
It's like a whole generation of basketball fans.
Jason Garrett's the new
Could be.
target they're going after?
Could be. Well, if Breeze is out, they got to find a number 2. He's been doing USFL. He's been decent.
Breeze?
I know.
Garrett?
Yeah. He's been doing studio, the little desk on the sidelines, pre and half and post. And then he's been doing a game also.
We missed that. Yeah. DC, he didn't do bad, but,
Yeah, it's Breen, but yeah, Breen was hysterical with Imus. That was his big break.
What's he going to do to these cities?
Give him time. He'll do it.
I told you I cooked that, meal for that family a couple weeks ago. She's about done. 5 fucking kids. Like hospice. It's
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kerwin, NFL Radio, to join us at the top of the hour. It's a pleasure to welcome Michael McCarthy, a senior writer for Front Office Sports, frontofficesports.com. You can follow Michael on Twitter, McCarthyREV, McCarthyREV. Michael, it's David and Mark. Thanks for your time, and thanks for getting up early with us. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning, fellas.
Well, we brought you on to talk about this golf thing and the war that we think is about to, commence here in the next 6-7 days. First off, where are your thoughts on PGA Tour, LIV Series, and what's going on?
Well, I think the PGA Tour has a serious challenge on its hands, both from a image standpoint and a player standpoint. I mean, nobody expected Dustin Johnson, number 13 in the world, the 2020 Masters winner, to headline the first event in London. So the PGA Tour has got a lot on its plate.
All right. Dustin Johnson goes over the LIV Tour. What do you think the PGA Tour will do? The next thing that's going to drop is they said they're not going to allow them to play both. How long of whether a suspension, a ban, what do you think the PGA's next step is, Michael?
I think the next step is suspension. I think the lawyers are pouring over every possible disciplinary action they can right now. And then I also think the PGA Tour is going to lean on its many partners in business and in golf. And what I mean by that is the equipment companies, the sponsors, and ultimately the governing bodies such as USGA and others that will make the decision on whether or not these players can play in the U.S. Open, say, a week after the first LIV tournament in London.
Michael, there is nothing, I don't believe, in the history of the sport that would be a precedent for banning these golfers from playing on the PGA Tour, or at least forget the PGA Tour, for playing in the major championships going forward. I mean, the U.S. Open and the British Open are just that. They are open championships. It doesn't matter. You could be a carpenter and play in it if you're good enough to qualify. We think only the Masters, because they make up their own rules, could get away legally with banning Dustin Johnson, even as a former champion. Your thoughts on whether or not the majors can legally ban these guys?
It's a great point, and I think that the DJs of the world are counting on that. If you're a player who's at the end of your career on the PGA Tour, you're getting older, you're not winning as much, but you could go make a huge paycheck for LIV while still playing in the 4 major tournaments, then, it's a great option. I mean, can they do it? I think they can. I mean, it's their bat, their ball, to use a phrase. And I think if the PGA Tour is truly interested in finding a way, they can work something out with these governing bodies. However, I think right now they're leaving it out there more as a threat than an actual move. It's sort of a DEFCON 5 move going nuclear that would deprive the DJ of the world to compete in, the British Open or the U.S. Open, as you say. I mean, I think right now there's a lot of other more easily legal steps they could take to try to discipline players who rebel against the tour.
With the club manufacturers, Michael, that's fascinating to me because it's one thing for RBC to end their sponsorship with Dustin Johnson when he's going to play in this LIV London Open the same weekend as the RBC Canadian Open. That's an easy one. It's right there in front of us. But the club manufacturers, I mean, DJ's the face of TaylorMade in a lot of ways. If TaylorMade were to dump him, that's a pretty big step and would show really how close these club manufacturers are in cahoots with the PGA Tour. It seems like that's a very dangerous step that the tour is taking to try to bring all its partners in. Do you think the club manufacturers will go along with this?
Ultimately, my guess is that they will. The PGA Tour is ultimately more important to the club manufacturers than any single player outside of a Tiger. You saw, Callaway hit the pause button with Phil Mickelson, after his shenanigans. So I do think if they have a choice between the tour and big business and a single player, there's always another Dustin Johnson out there to be the face of TaylorMade.
He's Michael McCarthy, a senior writer for Front Office Sports, frontofficesports.com. You can follow Michael on Twitter, McCarthyREV, McCarthyREV. Michael, if you're Dustin or whoever else is going to come down the road, isn't this all about the majors when you think about it? Because even if he loses all his endorsements, in theory, if the money that's being offered, forget the supposed side deal, just from the purses alone, $255 million in 8 events, you figure he's going to cash pretty damn high in all these events because of his ability. He really doesn't need to wear a patch. He doesn't need an endorsement. He will make it all up pretty much from this LIV series. Isn't it really going to come down to, does the PGA Tour's future rest with the major championships?
I think it's a little bit more basic than that. I think it's all about the money. William Goldman, the famous screenwriter, famously said about Hollywood, nobody knows anything. And in sports, when people say it's not about the money, it's about the money. You're absolutely right. If he's making anywhere close to that $125 million to participate in it, and he doesn't need a TaylorMade sponsorship. And, all he wants to do is compete in the major tournaments. And, he'll bank so much money, he won't need to play in the Greater Greensboro Open anymore. It's very appealing to players who are in middle age and who can't compete that much anymore.
All right. I guess the ultimate question is, if the lawsuits come out and the LIV players win, do you really think that this tour, how big of a threat can this tour be to the actual PGA Tour when it's all said and done, Michael?
I am not underestimating it. I think it can be a very significant threat. A lot of us in the media were laughing and joking when they didn't release the list that was supposed to come out months ago. Who are they going to get? Well, they got a bunch of major winners. Yeah, the lower half of the list is comprised of amateurs and golfers and everybody heard of. But, even a week ago, did you think they'd get a Dustin Johnson? So I think that their first tournament will be important. If it's treated as a serious, legit event, then it'll go a long way to legitimizing this tour. And second, the Dustin Johnson of the world could be the crack in the dam. I mean, if people see that kind of money, what would stop a Ricky Fowler or somebody like that from also saying, hey, give me that kind of paycheck, I'll come over to LIV.
Well, and then there's the other part of it. Do you think that the golfers who play in London and in any of the 7 events subsequent, do you think that they will be essentially blackballed? And I don't just mean by Jay Monahan and the tour. I mean by the players on the tour. Do you think the divide is this intense?
No, I don't think that they would be blackballed by other players. I mean, golfers are ultimately independent contractors. They're on the side of other golfers, not necessarily the PGA Tour. So they may say the right things with Monahan and the tour, but I think that the more likely reaction in the locker room is, hey, how do I get a piece of that money?
What are you hearing about Phil?
Phil is an amazing case. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people about him. Everybody wants him to come back. I've never seen a guy who was popular on the tour, and I ultimately think that his comeback will come on TV. Now, hear me out, guys. I mean, before this whole craziness started with the book in Saudi Arabia, he was viewed as the next great golf analyst.
Yes.
You know, you put him in the booth, you know, alongside Nance, you're going to get some great TV. So I think that's ultimately where he makes his comeback as an analyst, similar to the way A-Rod did.
But he has to not play in this LIV tour, though. I think, Michael, if he plays in one LIV event, that none of the networks can hire him because of their relationship with the PGA Tour.
I think that's a great point. He's going to have to make a choice there. These networks are literally in business with the PGA Tour, and the networks generally do what their partners want them to do. I'll give you a perfect example. The NFL insists on having number 1 talents on all its announced teams. So I think that's a great point. He's going to have to make a choice.
Michael, thanks for choosing us this morning. We appreciate it. Safe travels. Have a good weekend.
Great interview, guys. Thank you.
Michael McCarthy is a senior writer for Front Office Sports, frontofficesports.com. You can follow him on Twitter, McCarthy, REV, McCarthy, REV.
That is very interesting to see his take that Phil comes back on TV, because as we've pointed out and as he agreed with, can't go play the LIV and go to CBS doing the PGA Tour.
Yeah,
and he's been at this, but he's been at this so long. For him not to play in one of these events would surprise me now, David.
Well, also, he's lost a lot of money here, and we think Phil financially is okay, but I mean, let's face it, he's been gambling for 30 years. I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe he needs the money. Maybe he comes to the conclusion that, you know what, I don't have a broadcasting career. I thought Nance extended an olive branch in an interview 3 weeks ago, that Nance was publicly saying there's a way for Phil to get back and have what it is he was going to have, but he needs to come back.
Thought he needed to play in the PGA.
I did too.
Really, when push comes to shove, David, he needed to play in the PGA. I thought he lost a lot. And given the fact that Tiger WD'd in it, there would have been so much there for Phil as the defending champ to play in that event.
I will say, though, and I wasn't in Tulsa and obviously was part of a thing that covered it from afar. On the tour, he's not the most popular golfer. A lot of the PGA pros are like, Phil's been a handful. He's been the smartest guy in the room. Just ask him. But he's been so good, we've had to deal with him. But now that, he screwed up and we can kind of let him know, listen, I mean, Rory hinted strongly at it when he said, I hope he comes back. But when he comes back, I hope he's a lot more gracious. And let's face it, Phil's almost 52.
Right.
I mean, Phil's career is at the very end. Phil's on the 17th hole of his golf career.
Absolutely, but could have played in some Open Championships, or still can play in some Open
Sure.
Championships, and obviously contend.
You and I both think that he's a wild card at Augusta for a few more years. I mean, if Freddie Couples at 52 was in the final group at Augusta, would it really shock you if sometime in the next 3 Masters that Phil's on the first page of the leaderboard on the weekend?
Not one bit. But at some point, he's got to come play again.
Right.
And it's got to be on the PGA Tour or in a major, not on the LIV Tour. And I'd be pretty surprised if he doesn't play in an LIV event.
Yeah, I think Phil's going to end his PGA career.
I agree.
And just take the money and wanting to be on the quote-unquote right side of history legally. I think there's a lot of Greg Norman in Phil.
And more with every coming day. But I do think finding out what's going to happen with these players and how the USGA and the R&A is going to handle it is on the top of Phil's mind, because DJ could have time with the lawsuits to still play. Phil doesn't have the time to wait through lawsuits to see whether or not he can play in a major.
Isn't it interesting? We still don't know if Tiger or Phil are going to play in the U.S. Open, and it's not even being talked about.
Yeah, I can't believe that Tiger is.
I can't either. Tournament begins in 13 days. I don't think either one of them will be in the field.
No reason to tell me that Phil will be, but I can't believe that Tiger will health-wise, just the way that it ended at the PGA.
Yeah, we said at the time, we hope he just takes a few more weeks and gets ready for the Open Championship at St. Andrews. You get that stinger off the tee. Hope for dry conditions. He could be there on the weekend.
Get on the right side of the draw. That's all you need there sometimes.
Miller and Moulton. Pat Kerwin to join us on the other side. A little football talks. Never a bad time for that. 90 days away from the start of the college season. 97 away from the start of the NFL season.
Probably a little closer on his running back rankings. We can dive down into that as well.
Yeah.
Love the offseason rankings that he and Jim Miller do.
I'll tell you, it's tough to outgoober Miller and Moulton, but he does it and does it in spades.
Thanks for listening. Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Mark, we're playing golf.
Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up now.
I'd like to thank Budweiser, Twin Peaks, and Southwest Florida Golf Carts. Got some good stuff there, flgolfcarts.com.
Where are you going to go? FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Sign up for our tournament Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Your golf will include your foursome and a chance to have lunch and awards after.
Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Everybody is saying Jimbo backs off. Did Jimbo back off?
But Jimbo just said,
I mean, Pat Forty, while Jimbo backpedaled like a five-star DB, he didn't backpedal.
I didn't think he backpedaled. I thought he said I didn't want to talk about it. The other thing is, I mean, come on. Like, he's not being, like, he doesn't have Greg Sankey all over him.
Oh, yeah. You know what? You might be right.
What?
What you said the other day. You run on guns and abortion until you win.
You just keep running it. You got to stand for something. It's worth losing over.
It's the Bill Maher thing. When he did his whole, it was a parody thing, but he did the whole, we know what they stand for, guns, and he did the whole pot thing. It was his new rules, and it was a comparison. They've got their bad music. He shows Ted Nugent. We've got ours. He showed Fish. I mean,
I do think the PGA Tour is leaning at him on every major, because I think they know that if these guys can play the majors, so they can play in these 8, 10, or 14, whatever it's going to be, LIV tournaments, and make more money than they could make if they played 22 or 24 events on the PGA Tour. Yeah, I think the PGA Tour sees their survival in the major championships, and I don't know if the majors legally can do it.
you're not the only one, Mello. I'm done. Got to get me a Texas A&M shirt. You got to talk a little faster with my responses. And I can have Jimbo down. Jimbo's about like this. Got to go really fast, really quickly. I'm done.
You just need to dress up as Jimbo for Halloween.
Need an A&M shirt. First Moulton trip over, I'll have him get me a golf shirt.
All
Your
right.
visor headset.
All right. I'll work on. I got to check the schedule and see if we're there before Halloween. I don't even know if we're there this year.
Really?
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And just like that, it's the 8 o'clock hour of Miller and Moulton on this Friday. Hope you've had a good week. For many of you, it's been an abbreviated work week. And you may have some rain in your plans this weekend if you live south of I-4. So just be safe and careful out there. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kerwin's kind enough to join us once again. We'll talk a little NFL for a few minutes. How are you?
I'm doing fine, folks. Hope everything's well with you. Stay dry down there today.
We'll try.
Possible.
We'll try.
I would think you're in Toledo, but I know better.
You know what? Go ahead and make fun of my passion for these knuckleheads, but I would not be going to Toledo. That's what that Flow TV is for. I told David that.
For those that
put
don't
the game on.
For those that don't know, Pat has a residence in Southwest Florida. They have a minor league hockey team at the ECHL, the AA level, and the Florida Everblades are in the finals, and they begin tonight in Toledo, and Pat is a huge fan, and so hence the reference from Mark.
And I think,
and the reason I'm a fan is I'm so tired of paying guys millions of dollars to play football when I see guys play their hearts out 3 nights a week for the minimum wage. So it's a bit. I go there for financial and emotional relief is what happened to me.
well, I don't know if it's emotional relief. I don't know what kind of relief it is, but Baker Mayfield is still a Cleveland Brown. And as the Deshaun Watson case still continues, as the HBO story comes out, adding more fuel to the fire, as the league finally gets done with their investigation, Pat, is Baker Mayfield going to be a Brown at the beginning of the year?
Well, I said that a few months ago on the show, and everyone laughed at me. What are you kidding? I said, look, they might have to hold on to him. He's certainly, no matter where he plays, he's going to want to play as well as possible because he's looking for a big contract in 2022. So the last thing he wants to do is collect $18 million at home and do nothing, which might happen. I don't know why they'd release him. Look, the storyline, you already said something, Mark, that I might challenge, and that is that the NFL has concluded their investigation. Every time they think they've concluded it, more stuff comes out, right? So how can you conclude something as things still seem to be happening in that case? And I think the league's under a lot of pressure to do something significant because their image, which they hold above all players, will be tarnished if they don't.
Pat, do you think the league would take into consideration something which in the grand scheme of things is as trivial as what I'm about to mention? Week 8, Monday Night Football, is Cincinnati at Cleveland. Do you think when they're sitting down talking about a suspension, if some yahoo in the back of the room like me goes, hey, I don't know how many games you're thinking, but if it's anything less than 8, Deshaun Watson's home debut is going to be on Monday Night Football? I mean, which is why I keep thinking the suspension's going to be at least 8 games, because that is the last thing the league wants.
I agree with you. I think they know a number in their mind that they'd have to go to. But I also think this, David, you can respond to this. I think you're right. He's not going to show up on Monday Night Football to start his Cleveland career. But I don't know that the first suspension is going to be the only suspension.
Wow.
I would think that the language would be 8 pending further information, something like that. Why would they close themselves out with a single penalty on an expanding problem? I think they could justify. I don't want them to do whatever they don't want to do, but I think it might be twofold, honestly.
And that's unprecedented, Pat. They've never done anything like this before.
Have they dealt with, like, Ray Rice? They saw the video and it was over. Nothing else happened, right? This thing has an open end to it. And we just saw this week, number 23 and potentially 24. So who knows if there's 25, 26, and 27.
Pat,
that's why I think if you want to do something for this season, you might have to consider it being twofold.
Pat, I know the league never looks at other leagues. I get it. But Trevor Bauer was suspended for 2 years by Major League Baseball. Do you think that suspension at all is discussed on Park Avenue when the NFL is trying to figure out what they're going to do?
I think they discuss everything that's out there in society. They're not stupid. They know they're a reflection of society, but they're never going to admit what they think about, talk about. They have a lot of friends, by the way, in all these other sports industries. The NHL has a lot of guys that work at the NHL office that worked at the NFL office. I'm sure they pick up phones and talk all the time to guys around the thing. And I guarantee that the lawyers for all these, and I guarantee that commissioners talk to each other. I mean, I think we'd be naive to think they don't. So I think that the answer to your question is, yeah, they do, but they're not going to admit it. And I don't think they think everything the other leagues do is really better than what they do. But they typically don't want to do things that mirror or mimic other leagues, like a lottery for the draft, something like that.
Pat Kerwin, Moving the Chains is the show, weekday afternoons on NFL Radio. Pat joins us on Miller and Moulton, courtesy of Pinchers, from Tampa to Key West and at least a dozen locations in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. What do Browns fans think? I mean, you do a national show, so you get a national audience and you get Browns fans outside of the greater Ohio area, and they're passionate and they call. They're not like Steelers fans in terms of calling into your show, but they're in the top quarter, I would say, a percentile. Where are Browns fans on this?
Well, it was interesting. The answer's got a couple of levels to it, David. When the rumors were that they were going after Deshaun Watson, most of the callers to my show were, we don't want Deshaun Watson. The second phase of that was, we think Baker Mayfield deserves his season, because they remember the good. You know, he had a pretty good home record. They kind of like to blame Odell Beckham. Like, it's when Odell wasn't here, we were fine. You know, all that kind of stuff. So that was the early sentiment. Then when Deshaun showed up, they started to think about, everyone's telling us we just got an elite quarterback, the best quarterback ever in the history of the franchise, all this other stuff. So they kind of softened up to it, and then they started to get excited. We certainly were painting a picture that if he plays, to go along with that running game and the pass rushers, and then Clowney re-signs and talking about that stuff, they started to get excited and raise their own level of expectations to newer levels, and it included Deshaun Watson. But the most recent one was 2 days ago, was like, yeah, you remember now, we're Cleveland. They're probably going to suspend Deshaun Watson. Baker's probably going to refuse to play, and we'll be back to being bad. So they've done the full cycle.
Have they ever?
Can I just throw this out there? Since and I don't want to say the relationship in San Francisco is broken between the Niners and Garoppolo, because I don't think it's broken, but I do think that both sides had said their goodbyes to one another, and then his shoulder injury has complicated things. It's not a perfect salary match. It's like $19 million for $25 million. Do you think it's possible that if, let's just say, Deshaun suspended a long time, and clearly San Francisco having Garoppolo as a backup is not ideal. What if they traded Mayfield for Garoppolo straight up? Two guys enter in the final year of their contract. It's a $6 million cap difference in a trade. Would that make any sense?
Yeah, it would. I mean, those are the fun things to think about. I think it's got some purpose to it, where you got my problem. And that's how trade used to be. You take my problem, I'll take your problem. Let's see if they change when they get the new place. I don't think that's crazy, David, in any way. I don't know that they've talked about it yet or contemplated it. And both guys add to your, scenarios. Aren't they both coming off injuries?
Right, but also, like, Baker as a backup is more acceptable in San Francisco, I think, than Jimmy G is the backup. And then also Jimmy G, you could argue, is a more proven commodity as a starter, and he's playing for his next deal. So he would come in anywhere to start 8, 10, 12, 17 games.
Yeah, I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility. It'd be fun to think about. And you kind of, and I don't think you really felt like adding this, but we might have to balance up the equation financially. Yeah. 18 and 24. How about we figure out how to split the difference on the problem there?
Would you be worried if someone said they're only 55% back? I mean, Tom Brady said he's 55% back, and 55% of Tom Brady's pretty damn good. But should Bucs fans, should there be any worry there about not being 100% when you said you're coming back?
I don't think so. I think he hung around with Rodgers for a couple of days on a golf course. Rodgers loves telling the world he's quitting.
We're trying to figure out, is he doing the ponytail or the man bun? We think it's more ponytail, but it's quite a look.
Well, I wonder if there's a significant loss of hair or something. He's holding on to whatever he's got. And then look, he likes to think of himself, that being Rodgers here, he likes to think of himself as, some high-level intellectual that, when he hands out, read a book on his Christmas card to the guys and stuff. Come on. Now he wants to look like he's Einstein. I don't know. I just play well because you're really good at that. The rest of your stuff, I don't know. I don't care. Now he can make a putt. I will say that. Mark, did you see that 15-footer?
No, only on replay, Pat. I did not watch 1 second of the match.
So I ran into some guys last night that they love football and they like golf more. And the two guys that I think are pretty good at the course I'm on up here go, I sure would like to play those guys in golf. They're not so good. I don't want to think I'd ever want to play them in football, but I'd love to play them in golf. One guy said it was dangerous to be a fan on a fairway.
It sure was. Josh Allen needs to say no the next time they ask him to join one of these. Pat, enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, go Blades.
Pat Kerwin, moving the chains, weekday afternoons, 3 to 7 on NFL radio. And Pat joins us courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and over a dozen locations in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh.
I don't think the local minor league hockey team has any idea what type of fan they have in Pat Kerwin.
No. Although, let me tell you, he's like Norm from Cheers over in that building. He is the mayor, the governor. He runs that place.
Miller and Moulton, we're happy that you joined us this morning. Back with more in a moment. Where else? But right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, Adam, he left them because they wanted him to leave them. They went out and got Carson Wentz. They told Ryan Fitzpatrick. First off, I think he told them that after the injury, I'm going to retire. But, they also said to him, hey, we're moving on. Yeah, Ryan, that's basically how we used to do it. Mark does today was the day when, and I would interject on 2 or 3 things and go, yeah, that was when they did this. So thank you.
You are right. You're not the only way. Where are you going September 24th? Is Arkansas is at A&M. That's the only one I even looked at. Florida at A&M.
Yeah, that's at Jarrah's place. The problem is
after Halloween.
The problem is the game doesn't rate. We're probably going Florida at Tennessee would be my guess on the 24th.
24th.
But check the weather. I will say.
It's raining.
Well, not only is it raining though, but it's tropical storm warning, 100% chance of rain when I'm flying out of here. They got the whole storms thing.
What time are you leaving?
1:36.
Oh, right when it's hitting.
I know. I'm just trying to get out. Weather in Baltimore is supposed to be perfect after a week of rain.
Going to take it in Orioles?
I wish. And they're home too.
Yeah, Adam, that would be unfortunate. That would suck. Let's pray that doesn't happen too. Let's go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Miss any part of the show? Well, go to floridasportsnetwork.com and download what you missed. Whether it was Michael McCarthy last hour, talking PGA Tour versus LIV Golf Series, whether it was Pat Kerwin a moment ago, floridasportsnetwork.com. Any concerns for the Lightning tonight? I'd ask.
Come on now.
I'd ask.
This is what they do. They lose, then they win. Over and over again.
Well, the thing was, they hadn't lost in a while before they got whacked in game one. They had won 6 straight between the Leafs and the Panthers. And again, they hadn't played in a while either with 9 days off, and it certainly looked it in the game one performance. But if you don't know the stat, and we gave it out much earlier in the show, 17 consecutive wins for Vasilevsky and net and the Lightning. 17 consecutive wins for Tampa Bay after a loss in the playoffs in the last 2.5 seasons. So they've never lost 2 in a row. Hence the reason they've skated around with Lord Stanley's Cup. Although Toronto was playing the 1-3-5 thing. You know, that's why in theory the Lightning could have lost that series without ever losing 2 in a row, because Toronto in the first round won game 1 and won game 3 and won game 5. And so if they had won game 7, say, that Lightning would have lost the series without losing 2 in a row.
Tonight, the Rangers, who have been terrific at home, their power play is fantastic. They seem to be playing as well right now as they have played throughout this entire playoff run.
I would agree with that. Their last 3 games have been 3A games, and they've scored 6 goals in back-to-back games against Carolina and Tampa Bay.
But I'd back up the truck on the Lightning tonight.
Well, you've only got 3 years of history behind you.
And you're not laying a big number. The money line's minus 130 for a team that's won 17 games coming after a loss. That's a pretty good bet.
Well, it's a New York team. You know what happens when a New York team is doing well. The lines are always, I mean, back in the day when Joe Namath was quarterback of the Jets, they always said that the best line on the board was to bet against the Jets, that the Jets were always overvalued either way.
Notre Dame had that same distinction
Sure.
for quite a while as well. I think the Patriots had it for probably the last half of the Brady-Belichick run.
Let me ask you this question, though, and I agree with you. I'm all over the Lightning tonight. I mean, you and I both picked the Lightning to win the series, and I said the Rangers would win game 1. But better team at the time that they're facing them, Toronto then, which is about a month ago, Rangers now. Which team do you think's a tougher out?
I think the Rangers are, because their goaltending's better.
Although I will say I don't think goaltending let Toronto down in that series.
I don't either, but they didn't have the ability to have the big save sometimes after Vasilevsky did. And I get the impression right now that the Rangers have that this goaltender can go save for save with Vasilevsky. And that's something that Tampa's not faced at any point in this run.
It's funny because I did not think that the Rangers would come back and beat Pittsburgh. And although I was gaining more and more confidence as the series went on against Carolina, at the beginning of the series, I picked the Canes. I will say, when I look at it from a personnel standpoint, the Rangers are actually deeper than the Leafs.
Than the Lightning. Or than the
the Leafs.
Okay.
Like, the Leafs didn't have a good third and fourth line. And I don't think the Leafs had an elite defenseman. The Rangers have an elite defenseman in Fox. And the Rangers' third line's the kid line, and the fourth line's centered by Gaudreau. I actually now I think the Leafs' number 1 line's better than the Rangers' number 1 line. I mean, Mika and Kreider are playing great, but come on, you got to take Austin Matthews in that line over the Rangers' line. But the more I look at it, and we saw how close the Leafs came to taking the Lightning out. Now, I think it took Tampa a while to kind of find their game, though, in that series. But I will say, I think the Rangers are deeper than the Leafs. Don't know if they're better. And if Tampa may actually need Braden Point at some point in this
Well,
series.
that's the thing I'm waiting for, is because you brought this up before game one, and we'll see what happens tonight. But the Rangers have been god-awful on faceoffs. They were plus 10 on faceoffs in game one, David.
They won 60% of their faceoffs in game one. Coming into the game, they were 41% on faceoffs. Worst team in the playoffs.
So when Braden Point's out there, that nullifies that advantage right now.
Absolutely.
So that was one of the stats that I looked at from the game that jumped out at me. I've always been a big proponent of winning faceoffs. It's a lot easier to play this game when you have the puck than when you don't. That was always something when I broadcasted that I tried to pay a lot of attention to and still do now. So that to me is worth watching tonight because Point's their best faceoff man.
I think the Lightning hit everything that moves tonight. Everything. They had an 8-minute stretch to end the first period in which I thought, they're finding their legs because they were hitting and they were forcing turnover after turnover after turnover. And I'm like, this team's going to be the one that's tough for the Rangers to handle. And then the Rangers just outskated them and played with the lead, and Tampa Bay was chasing. I'm sorry, Mark. I think they hit everything tonight.
Adam Foote was on the pregame, the great Colorado defenseman, and just talked about, they were just talking about gap control. And I think you're going to see Tampa tonight play a completely different neutral zone game, David. Then you cannot allow this kid line and these Ranger forwards to get the speed that they're getting through the neutral zone with the puck. And I think the Tampa defense will tighten things up. There will be far less space for the New York Rangers to skate tonight. And I think Tampa wins a 3-1 type game.
Thought Hedman made a really good point post-game. Much was made by some of the fact the Rangers went 3-0 against the Lightning in the regular season. I mean, you and I laughed at that. But two of the meetings were a back-to-back in January. And Hedman said, we haven't seen this team in a while. He goes, we had seen the Leafs. We had certainly seen the Panthers. And he goes, we hadn't seen the Rangers in a while, period. Never mind the fact we hadn't played in 9 days. But also, the Rangers made moves at the deadline. The Rangers added wingers to both their first and second line. So Hedman said, not only haven't we seen them, we haven't seen them when they're the team they are now. The kid line, those guys weren't playing worth it. He didn't say this, but they weren't playing worth a damn when the Lightning faced them. And the two Ranger, top two lines were not nearly as good as they are now. So, I mean, it was almost as if Hedman was saying, well, you know what? We needed this. Now we know what we're facing. Give us a couple practices and then, a little film work and, see you Friday.
Trust in John Cooper.
Right.
He's done pretty well so far by this Lightning team.
Right.
He'll be able to make an adjustment or two and see where they go from there. But I expect things to be a lot tighter in the neutral zone tonight. I think Tampa will play a much closer to the vest type defensive game. A little bit of chipping in, chipping out, not a lot of chances. And I think you're right. The physicality will be there for Tampa as well, because that goes along with tightening up defensively in the neutral zone.
Well, the Rangers have a couple of very physical defensemen, but they also got a couple of guys who don't like to be hit. And I think they get hit tonight. Put it that way. Looking for the over and under tonight. 5.5. I'll play the under tonight. I think tonight's a 3-1, 3-2 game.
I'm right there with you. Right there with you 100%. I think, like I said, Tampa 3-1 would be my pick right now.
Miller and Moulton. Series shifts to Tampa. I believe it's Sunday afternoon. So they kind of get away from the NBA Finals, which will be Sunday night. I believe it's a mid-afternoon game in Tampa on Sunday for Game 3. Miller and Moulton. Make sure, FloridaSportsNetwork.com, vote on our poll question, and download anything you missed. Thanks for listening, Miller and Moulton.
Bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. featuring band attachments to your feet and hips. Power strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a power strap kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark, we're playing golf.
Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up now.
I'd like to thank Budweiser, Twin Peaks, and Southwest Florida Golf Carts. Got some good stuff there. flgolfcarts.com.
Where are you going to go? floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our tournament Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Your golf will include your foursome and a chance to have lunch and awards after.
Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Is right.
So,
How did any of the guys who are jumping play? That's all I want to know. Oh, that Piat or whatever his name is.
he was like 2-3 over.
3 over.
yesterday.
Swafford, 4 over. And Matt Jones was the other one, right?
Mm.
Wasn't it Matt Jones the other? Wasn't he in it, I thought?
I don't know. Oh, sleep on that first flight, baby. How you holding up over there today? You sleepy? Need coffee? Need to go outside, get rained on for a few seconds?
Oh, you reminded me. I was going to check how it is outside.
Well,
It's raining.
yeah, it's
I wanna see
raining.
how hard. I'll be right back.
Yeah, okay, you better hurry. No, not only are they no longer last, the Royals have a worse record than them also.
Tell you what, I could stand out there all day. It's just a slight drizzle.
The Nats have a worse record than them. The Royals have a worse record than them.
Don't the Phillies and the Orioles currently have the same record? That's embarrassing.
No, close though.
Oh.
22 and 29, 22 and 31.
No.
Yeah, the Reds now have the third worst record in baseball.
Right.
Tigers are closing in on the White Sox, for crying out loud.
Can't wait to tell my wife, sorry, honey, I have to go to a Guardians-Orioles game.
Some real quick worthless NBA analysis that I made last night. If Kevon Looney plays well in this finals, this is the last year of his contract, he's going to get a bag somewhere.
You sure about that?
He's been playing great in the playoffs. He's a very just decent center.
Little French Open chat.
Why?
Nadal,
The final was a couple days ago.
right. Nadal's already won. And the women's finals tomorrow.
So who's he playing in the semifinal?
He's playing the third seed. Zverev.
Zverev. Yeah. I think the Zverev, that dude, I think he's friends with Jimmy Butler. I don't know if it's that they have a similar sponsor, but
Yeah, DC, they may have lost 4 out of 5 to the Tigers, but they have a 4.5 game lead. Division right now is horrible.
Horrible.
dang.
White Sox with all those injuries. They just got swept by the Jays.
Guardians are going to have to play a lot of baseball games coming up here. They've had a lot of rainouts.
Jerry, I need my 20s to start winning games, man.
They played 5 less games than the Tigers.
Juancho, when isn't it National Donut Day?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Celtics take game 1, down 12 after 3, win by 12. That hadn't happened before in the finals. The most lopsided fourth quarter in NBA Finals history, 40-16 Boston. Boston wins, they cover, and the game goes over. You know, for those of you into that sort of thing, Mark. Steph played well, although he played better in the first half than the second half, 34 for Curry. But Al Horford, the man, 26. What, he had 6 threes, something like that?
6 of 8. He took more 3-pointers last night than he did in his first 4 seasons in the league.
If you missed it earlier, Mark detailed the line of demarcation in Al Horford's life, in which he went from shoot the 3, I'd rather sit on the bench, to, hey, give me that ball. I'm chucking.
We had a segment about Al Horford. Can you believe that?
Well,
Credit to him.
yes, I can. He was the story last night in game 1 of the NBA Finals.
Yeah. Man, the Warriors wasted one of Steph Curry's best finals games of his career.
Well, that and the fact you're up 12 going to the 4th, which, and I understand it's the NBA and big comebacks and all that, but I mean, come on, man. You're up 12 going to the 4th. You're at home. You're the Warriors. That's got to be a dub.
Yes, it does.
Tatum goes 3 for 17 from the field. And I understand he played good defense and he had double-digit assists and all that, but still, I mean, 3 for 17 from the field. And you score 108 at home, and it's not enough.
That's where having Jaylen Brown helps a lot.
It was, and it happened in the fourth quarter. And if you make threes, you make threes. But it was the question I had going into the series that everybody's focused on, well, Boston shutting down Golden State. I'm trying to figure out how Golden State defends Boston. And last night, they, in the fourth quarter, just couldn't figure out a way to do so.
And I don't know if the game's been reduced to this, Mark, but does it come down to who hits their threes?
Pretty much.
Now, I mean, there was not much of a discrepancy between the two teams. What was it, a 2 threes made difference between Boston and Golden State?
Yes.
But if you just look at the fourth quarter alone, Boston's 9 of 12. If Golden State can hold them to 5 of 12, which would still be 41+% shooting from 3. in the quarter. If they hold them to 5 of 12 from 3, the game's tied there late.
No, if they'd have contested a few more, that might have been the case because there was a lot of open looks. You start moving the ball around and you get open looks and these guys start canning them. Spells trouble.
Game 2 is Sunday night at Golden State. 2-2-1-1-1, right? NBA's back to that. They don't do 2-3-2 anymore, right?
No, and they used to do only 2-3-2 in the finals, and then
Yes.
that was weird.
Well, it was
a
done.
travel thing.
Yeah, it was a Lakers Celtics thing. In 84, they did 2-2-1-1-1. And the series was 1-1-2-2, and then home court served out. Celtics won 5 and 7.
And Felipe, I know this is tough for you to imagine, but teams at that point had to fly commercial airplanes.
They did. They did. And for travel reasons, and let's face it, the league looked at one another and said, these two teams are going to play in the finals for like the next 4 or 5 years. We might want to do something about this. And the very next year, they went 2-3-2.
I really do learn something new every day because I always wondered why the heck did they do that? And that explains a lot.
And sure enough, they met in the finals in 85. They met in the finals again in 87. Lakers won both of them in a 2-3-2 format in 6.
You know today's National Donut Day?
Which begs the question, when is it not National Donut Day?
Well, apparently every other day but today. What is your go? Are you a glazed? I mean, are you a plain donut guy? Is it a glazed donut? Or are you a cream-filled donut? You have one donut to get at the store right now.
Seriously, I can only have one?
Well, you can have 5 of the same flavor.
Boston cream. If I can only have one. My go-to has been the chocolate glazed. All right, the chocolate donut with the white glazed. That's been my go-to.
Okay.
But if I can only have one, Boston cream.
Wait, doesn't Krispy Kreme give out free donuts on National Donut Day? Isn't that a thing they do?
Probably.
Oh,
But they're probably gone for the day now. That's part of the problem of working mornings. The
Already.
free donut allotment could be gone by the time you're done with work.
you get it.
You have to hit it coming in.
Right. You get it before the tropical storm, We got to get the alcohol and the donuts.
That's a valid point right
Yeah.
there because the donuts will last you through the weekend. There's nothing wrong with a day old.
So think about it with the morning show. You have to wait till after the show to get your booze, but you got to get the donuts early. But yeah, you kind of walk into the house about 10:45 in the morning and they go, yeah, all right, you got the supplies. This will be good. This will get us to Sunday. How many donuts you think, if you knew you were going to be stuck indoors for 2 days, how many donuts would you need?
A couple dozen.
Oh, Lord. See, here's the thing. I'm hesitant about that because I think I saw something where a donut is actually the worst thing that you
Probably.
I don't even want to hear it. I don't care.
No, I
Don't
think it's
care.
like I don't care either. They were delicious.
Then don't
but
bring it up. Don't bring it up. I don't want to
can't-
see them made. I don't want to know what's in it. I don't care.
Well, I feel the same way about hot dogs, but I can't
Right.
eat 12 hot dogs, man.
Why can't you?
Why not?
It's too much. It's too much. You
Seriously?
just feel gross inside. It's like, oh,
Maybe after, not during.
No.
I need a banana or something.
That's what I think.
Me too. You know what? I've had 8 donuts. You know what I better have is some grapes.
Banana. I could use some fruit right about now. Game 1 changed your thought as to how this series is going to go down? You picked Warriors.
Picked Warriors in 7.
Right. So did I.
So
I mean, we did congratulate the Celtics on winning the title yesterday, in fairness. Felipe picked Warriors in 6. We both went with them in 7. So, I mean, should have known something like this was going to happen. Once again, Vegas versus the analytics. Analytics loved the Celtics in the series. They loved them last night.
yeah, I'm content with my pick because Boston's not been great at home in this postseason.
True.
So while they've been an amazing road team throughout the playoffs, they've been better on the road than they've been at home. And for that reason alone, I think Golden State will get game 2. I think it'll go 1-1. I think it goes back to Boston. In fact, I think this comes back 2-2.
And then home serve from there? Golden State, Boston, Golden State.
That's the way I would see it.
So game 2 on Sunday night. We'll see how many of the ESPN regulars are back. Because last night, no Breen, no Van Gundy, and no Woj for pregame and postgame. No Woj bombs. Did you catch my sarcasm there?
I did.
Good.
I did.
Good.
Yeah, Woj is washed. It's all about Shams.
If you're into that sort of thing. But Mark Jones got game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals and game 1 of the NBA Finals. Nice little gig sitting around at home, not expected to be working. A couple of those audiences, that'll play. It'll work.
Couple extra paychecks. Never hurts either.
Breen did not pass the COVID test yesterday. So he obviously missed game 7 of the Eastern Finals, but if he had passed his COVID test yesterday afternoon, the report was he was going to do the game.
We were talking about it earlier, but the finals are just so much different if you're not hearing Mike Breen's voice.
And you know what's interesting? There are many things that show the difference between our age and your age. And Mark, maybe you agree with him, but like, I know Breen's done like 15 finals now. I get it. I know he's the voice of the NBA and he's the voice of a generation. And maybe he's better than Marv Albert was. I don't know. But
not to me.
Like,
and that's just a generational. It's
right.
not. I'm not saying it's not. It's not at all discounting a word you said, because everything you say you believe to be true. And at your age, how else could you think anything differently than Mike Breen? It's your favorite sport. He has been your guy since you were 6 years old.
I'm pretty sure that his first finals was 06 when the Heat won.
And for us, if you go back 30 years when Michael and the Bulls start showing up in the finals, and think about, how old we are then. You're darn near Felipe's age, and I'm a few years older. And to us at that time, Marv Albert then was our NBA soundtrack. Just like for those that want to go back just the previous decade, Dick Stockton for all the Magic, Bird, Lakers, Celtics was the voice.
I'm between Stockton and Marv Albert, because as much as I enjoyed and loved watching those Pistons teams win, when I was the biggest NBA fan was a Magic and Bird thing. And you start saying that, and I can close my eyes and start doing Dick Stockton in my head, listening to his call, the same way I can listen to a Marv Albert call, the same way you listen to a Breen call. It's the soundtrack in your head.
It was a huge deal when CBS lost the NBA. I mean, and there's 2 generations of fans right now that don't know that CBS did the NBA.
I can't even imagine the finals without ABC. So I'm sure if that happens, that'll be a big deal as well.
And when NBC lost the finals, the whole Jordan era was on NBC.
Yeah, I was going to say, because Bob Costas was the voice of the finals for a little bit, no?
Yeah, well, 1 year. Marv got suspended. Marv misbehaved. And so Costas had to come in and do the finals. And so, yes, when Jordan hit what we thought was his last shot against Utah, Costas was doing the play-by-play.
Right. But
so to you, like when you said it, to me, the finals without Mike Breen, it's just not the same. And, Miller and Moulton looked at one another like, what? But then we thought about it. We're like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's why you didn't see the attack. You saw us look at one another. There was no attack, because in your eyes, you're right. And he's a great announcer, but he's not, in my head, he's not my NBA announcer. But he's terrific, very talented, and hopefully he's back sooner than later so you can get, what is it you want to hear?
we missed out on a lot of last night.
Oh, Marv had yes.
I don't have that one, but yes.
And Breen has bang, although when people started pointing it out to him, he said he wasn't going to do it anymore. But he has found himself, and he even joked, he has found himself going back to it.
It's only when it's worthy.
Yeah, well, let's face it, in these playoffs, I don't know, has there been a game worthy of a bang?
Last night.
Exactly.
Last night in the fourth quarter.
We missed out on it.
I mean, in all seriousness, last night in the fourth quarter, that comeback would have been perfect for it.
Crushing threes. Out of Boston.
And it was pointed out in our Twitch chat room. Could you imagine if this happened today? I mean, remember in the 80s, the broadcast team was Dick Stockton and Tommy Heinsohn, former player and coach of the Celtics, doing all of those Celtics finals. And Tommy was a huge homer for the Celtics. And there he was doing the game. I mean, could you imagine nowadays how bent out of shape people get about bias in the broadcast booth? And you'd have Mike Breen and I don't know, imagine that the color commentator for the Golden State Warriors ended up doing the finals, or the Cedric Maxwell. Mike Breen and Cedric Maxwell are doing
nothing
the NBA
better.
finals.
Cedric Maxwell giving out the trophies for the Eastern Conference there. That was spectacular. And I know you were bummed out because you're a Heat guy and they lost, but Cedric Maxwell on the court giving out the trophies for Boston after they'd won the Eastern Conference. I'm like, that's where they went. That's fantastic.
Well, David, it's part of the reason why I respect Mark Jackson. You know, he was the coach of this Warriors team when they were on the come up, before they won.
I will say Kerr, early on especially, was very deferential to Mark Jackson. Like when they were going to the finals and they were asked about defense, and Steve Kerr said, well, you got to credit Mark Jackson for that. Mark Jackson taught this group how to play defense. He goes, I may have changed things offensively, a little more ball movement, this, that, and the other thing. He goes, but Mark Jackson deserves credit for these guys playing defense. I thought it was pretty classy of Kerr back in the day.
Mama, there goes that man.
Don't know what goes through his head. I really don't.
What goes through his head is like, I'm going to pull off an impression right now, and I'm going to say it, and everybody's going to know who I'm doing.
Right.
And yet all the impressions sound virtually the same.
Exactly the same.
With all due respect.
See, it just...
He always says that, with all due respect. No question.
He doesn't realize people don't quote Mark Jackson. And
Ever.
That includes the Jackson household.
Right.
Not unless you're on NBA Twitter. At Mark Jackson's burner.
And let me tell you, that is a place where Miller and Moulton never want to be. For those in Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice, thanks so much for listening. Try to stay dry and have a great weekend. The bonus hour of Miller and Moulton is next here on the Florida Sports Network. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Mark, we're playing golf.
Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up now.
I'd like to thank Budweiser, Twin Peaks, and Southwest Florida Golf Carts. Got some good stuff there, flgolfcarts.com.
Where are you going to go? floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our tournament Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Your golf will include your foursome and a chance to have lunch and awards after.
Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a power strap kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Johnny Mac, what? Are you saying today you were listening to 1070 The Zone and they were playing a 4-month-old show? Is that possible? Johnny Mac, I really need you here. Well, we're in commercial break, so. Well, you guys wouldn't hear anything now. We're in commercial break.
And the show's over there.
And the show's over there.
That's not true. They'd still be, I think they still have to play this break, but. Sure, it wasn't a promo.
Yeah, Johnny Mac, you sure it's not a promo?
All right.
Felipe, how's that possible?
I don't even know. I mean, we weren't remember how we had that old divisional round thing? The spot that didn't play. So I have no idea. I connected via Westwood 1. I don't know.
Is it possible they have an old promo that they were running during a break? We got to call them. When we come back this hour, you got to pick up the phone and call somebody there.
Okay.
Felipe, you need to fucking take this seriously. Okay, they just ran a 4-month-old show. This is a big deal. So we need to know, were they unable to get the show today, and that's why they just pulled the show they had on file? Also, why are they not contacting us?
Well, they wouldn't even contact us. They'd contact Westwood 1. It's really something Marty needs to do.
I understand, but we don't have anybody to do that.
Oh, I'm going to text him.
Do you have a number to call there at that station?
I'm digging for it right now.
Well, and that's another thing that we should have. We should have a one-sheeter with
Yeah.
all the stations and all the numbers and all the contact people. Unbelievable. What do you want to talk about here?
NFC Championship?
That's very funny. That is outrageously funny.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Friday, the first such Friday of the month. Thanks for being with us. The Florida Sports Network, thefloridasportsnetwork.com. Pretty much last chance, or so we think. We think the tournament will be sold out by the end of the weekend. Got less than a handful of foursomes left. If you want to play golf in our charity golf event a week from tomorrow at West Bay in Estero, please sign up. floridasportsnetwork.com and get in the event. We would love to see you.
No doubt. As David said, floridasportsnetwork.com. And I think you're right. Probably today, the last day to sign up if you are interested. And since you're not going to be able to play golf this weekend, you might as well play golf next weekend.
Chance Sunday, I'm hearing that this rain may come through and maybe we get a little sun. Of course, it's maybe a little too wet. I don't know, but I think there's a chance Sunday.
Going to have some great drainage.
Yes.
We will find out what courses have worked hard on their drainage. Because you are right.
We're supposed to be in the 3 to 6 inches of rain category over the next 48 hours. So
just worried how far that water comes up towards the back, towards the screened indoors. I mean, it's always the first tell. This is the early part of June.
Agreed.
You get a couple of rainstorms and you're sitting there in your living room, dining room, whatever butts up against that screen door and you're going, wonder how close it'll get if we really get some rain.
Depends on how hard, how fast. But yes, I remember one time saying to the wife, I don't think we can leave the house for a couple hours. We're kind of like a moat right now. We just need to let it settle. We just had a funny little thing happen during the commercial break in which apparently an old segment ran on one of our affiliates. And so I said to Mark, hey, what do you want to talk about? And he said, well, why don't we go back to the NFC Championship game?
Because apparently that's what was running in Port Charlotte in the last hour. I like the fact that we now have the Twitch investigative team on us, that they're the ones getting us the information because, well, we have no other way to get it right now. So Twitch, do your job. Get back to work.
Yeah. And another thing.
If you're looking for a few more friends, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, you can join the Twitch chat room and be part of the Twitch investigation team.
Blades looking for Kelly Cup title number 2. They begin the finals tonight in Toledo. It's tonight, it's Sunday, and then they come home next week, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, if necessary. Most think it will be necessary that neither team will sweep the other. But Florida and Toledo with home ice in a 2-3-2 format. 5th finals for the Blades, looking for title number 2.
1-3 so far in finals. We'll see what happens as they get things going there. Hey, look at this time. These are crap. It's the one thing about minor leagues. It's such a crapshoot when you get going because who got sent down, right? How did your AHL team do? Did they influx your team with a bunch more talent? So it is one of the weird ones. But there was a time when, and I appreciate, NBC2 got all into it, into the final. There was a time a decade ago that if this were going on, this town was shut down for Blades finals.
Well, the town's also a lot bigger. I mean, the town is a lot bigger, but I was impressed. They had a really nice crowd for game 4 of the conference finals on a Friday. And
I think all 3 games will be packed.
I do as well. Particularly if they can come home 1-1, then everybody knows in advance there's going to be a Saturday game. Because like the Saturday crowd was smaller significantly than the Friday crowd, but it was 3-0 going into Friday. So, game 5 tickets weren't even on sale.
Yeah, that was basically season ticket holders in a walk-up.
Right. So Wednesday, Friday, Saturday of next week, but tonight and Sunday, games 1 and 2 for the Blades in Toledo. And, it's not as glamorous to us. We liked it when didn't Toledo have a different nickname and they played in just an old,
they were the Toledo Storm and they played in the Toledo Sports Arena, which was a dump. And now they have a brand new, the arena's been built in the last decade. I'm sure it's a wonderful new facility. It holds around 10,000, which the town, I'm sure, the sports arena was all Toledo had. So you're not getting any concerts. You're not getting much of anything. So good for them to have a new arena and all that stuff. But the sports arena was a dump.
Right. But it was our dump. It was one of those deals. Yeah, it's a dump, but it's our dump. And teams didn't like to go in there. I remember a really good Blades team, I think, lost a conference final to Toledo. And they were probably better than them, but it was a really difficult place to play.
And now they're the Walleye in a nice, beautiful new arena, and it just doesn't have the same feel to me.
Right.
As my coast, as I like to call it.
Damn. It's one thing to put a new paint job on it, but
we did most overrated or most overhyped event because having a little fun with that with our poll question day. But locally, the Blades used to be overhyped. They're underhyped now.
Yes. Yes, the poll question's in honor of all the hype involved with this tropical depression or
with the rain we're going to get this
system.
weekend.
I don't even know if it's going to qualify as a tropical storm or not. It may just reach the threshold, but for those of us in this neck of the woods, we know that this is a 2-day rain event in all likelihood, and it can produce flooding, and we all know how bad that can be. But this is not the category 3, category 4 stuff where we batten down the hatches and oh boy. But the coverage will be just as long and just as intense. And so we had a poll question along those lines of sports hype and what's the most hyped, overhyped. I believe that's the key phrase.
What's the most overhyped?
And it was Super Bowl, Olympics.
The Olympics running away with it right now, for the record. Opening day baseball isn't a close second. Super Bowl and March Madness getting basically one vote each.
And I think it's because most people feel that the Super Bowl and March Madness have been delivering. Had a nice run of Super Bowls here.
But we probably we may lead the country in underhyped events now. Between the City of Palms basketball tournament, the QBE shootout.
If the Blades make a run, I don't disagree.
So maybe the 9 o'clock hour will be the local hype hour. Maybe we will just overhype something every day from 9 to 10.
All the college basketball tournaments that take place in the 239, oftentimes elite teams. I mean, it was awful that 2 years ago it was a pandemic. I mean, for goodness sakes, you had Gonzaga and Kansas playing each other on Thanksgiving Day in Fort Myers. And there was only like 400 people that were allowed to be in the damn building. There were 1 in 3 in the country. It's kind of a big deal in these parts. That women's basketball tournament that's at Hertz. I mean, UConn and South Carolina have been in the same damn tournament. South Carolina played Notre Dame one year in the final of that tournament. Looked at the Final Four teams in that tournament one year and said the Final Four would take this right now.
That's a really good point there. Between the women's tournament, the City of Palms, now the
Fort Myers tip-off.
The tip-off, that's at FSW's arena. The QBE shootout. The ladies, the LPGA Tour Championship is here.
I will say a little momentum building on that tour and a little money being added to that tour also. And with money comes coverage, and with money comes exposure. I think they should move it, though. Like, if I was them, the USGA doesn't want to do it. They don't like to have. They did one year that when we were with Fox, they had the Senior Open like the week after the U.S. Open, but they don't like to. They like to have a week in between events. But if I was the Women's Open, like the Memorials, that's an upper echelon PGA Tour event.
I'd rather be the week after the U.S. Open. If I were to try to make one change for the LPGA Tour, I would want the U.S. Women's Open to be the week after the Men's U.S. Open, because what are they going to do during the U.S. Open? They're going to promote your event.
So you'd rather go week after than week before?
Week after, because they're going to the USGA is going to promote the event. They're going to force the broadcast partner to talk about it. If you get one open, you do the other one. So they're going to promote it. I mean, hell, it'd be like running the Preakness before the Derby. Who would give a damn?
But now the U.S. Women's Open, it has settled in on this spot on the schedule the first weekend in June, which is also where Jack's tournament, the Memorial, has settled in. And it usually has a very good field because these guys want to pay homage to Jack, just like Bay Hill always had a great field because they paid homage to Arnie. And the Memorial gets more coverage from the Golf Channel than the U.S. Women's Open does, even though NBC Golf Channel televises the U.S. Women's Open. But PGA Tour outranks LPGA Tour in their echelon and pays more of the bills, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, I would do that.
That would be my move there. And, you know, with Korda being such a great young American player, there could be a run here, a decade-long run with some really good I mean, that, like it or not, when the LPGA Tour was a ton of Asian female golfers that we didn't know, it's tough to follow. The more, in this country at least, the more American good players there are, the better success that tour is going to have. And I think with the Korda twins on there, I think they could be poised for a nice little run.
Something I always thought they should consider, because the women have their version of the Ryder Cup. But you know how we added the President's Cup on the men's side to be able to, the game has become more global, and we wanted to allow those outside of Europe to be able to form a team to compete against the United States. We call it the President's Cup. All right. I thought, I mean, if you're running women's golf here, wouldn't you figure out a way, like, you know, one year we do the Solheim Cup, which is U.S. against Europe. Wouldn't you the other year form your own version of the President's Cup and have it be U.S. against Asia?
Would be a huge success internationally. I don't know how well it would do here, but you know what? We might lose a few times, and that gets people when we start losing, we get interested.
And let's face it, we usually get interested anytime we can wrap ourselves around the flag.
Right.
But I think also it would help get people to become more familiar.
Where do they have the Solheim? I mean, do they put that on courses like Tiburon? I mean, is that something that they could get here?
I don't think so. I think they would go for a course that's a little tougher, but there's certainly golf courses in the 239 that could hold it if they'd want to, though. I mean, that's something that's usually a late September, October deal.
And that's pretty tough weather-wise for us to host. It would have to get, and it actually would have to get to November to even have a shot at it here.
But just an idea. Miller and Moulton. Tampa Bay Rangers, game 2 tonight. Lightning have won 17 consecutive times after losing the playoff game before. Do they make it 18?
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark, we're playing golf.
Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up now.
I'd like to thank Budweiser, Twin Peaks, and Southwest Florida Golf Carts. Got some good stuff there, flgolfcarts.com.
Where are you going to go? floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our tournament Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Your golf will include your foursome and a chance to have lunch and awards after.
Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Who'd you talk to?
Spoke to Robin Craig.
Okay. Is that a programming person, salesperson?
Salesperson.
Salesperson, yeah.
And she said,
Yeah, I basically told her, yeah, we're having some people who take in our show on Twitch who said that they were running an old segment from January. I just want to make sure that that's not the case. And she said that, yeah, I assure you that that's not the case because they just have the feed running from the studio, like your feed, your live feed. And I was like, okay. Just wanted to make sure. She's like, yeah, I assure you that's not possible. And I was like, that's what I thought.
yeah, but how is it possible that one of our listeners sitting in their car on the radio heard us do something from 4 months ago?
I have no idea because all they play is our feed and I connect. I don't know. I really hope he's just being an asshole and joking around.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. And what I'm wondering is, like, somehow, some way, did something happen where all of a sudden a best of ran? Because remember,
That's what I thought, but I don't know. It's not raining that hard.
well, it shouldn't matter
Right.
at all.
So the Kelly Cup starts tonight.
Mhm.
Yes.
Nice.
I don't know. I think we got to look into this. I don't think Johnny. I don't know. Do I know Johnny Mac?
I don't think so. I don't.
When he said he had to go to like an app to listen to the show live because what he was hearing in his car was an old show. Yeah, I think the problem though is that I don't know if there's anyone in the studio
There shouldn't be.
monitoring the show.
There shouldn't be because we're
Right.
playing it down a satellite feed.
Johnny, did the show switch at all? Like when you were in your car, was it live? And then we came back from break and it was a different show? Did you have an NFC Championship segment in Monday's Best of?
No.
Didn't we run our first Best of like the President's Day Monday?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds right. We're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Final thoughts, all coming up in roughly 20 minutes' time.
So the OTAs are going on, and Tua threw some balls yesterday and talked to the media a little bit, and thought it was fascinating that he apparently said something during the practice. He had a couple of long completions to Tyreek Hill, and kind of called out the keyboard crusaders, or whatever he wants to call them, keyboard warriors, Twitter warriors that are out bashing his long ball ability. So he's obviously heard the noise and he's paying attention to it. Anytime you come up and say, I don't hear the noise, that's a direct translation to, I hear every bit of the noise and I want to. And I actually, there are two different ways to do it. There's the Kevin Durant burner way, where you don't act like you see it. And Tua coming right up and talking about the Twitter warriors and not out there in practice and not seeing what goes on. He's aware of it, but he's taken it personally and addressed it.
Well, this is the first time he's ever been criticized in his life. I mean, he was always the hotshot talent. I find it amazing how much he apparently sucks. I mean, Tua hasn't just become an average quarterback or below average quarterback. Tua sucks, apparently.
Right.
And I'm trying to figure out how that conclusion has been reached.
I think it stems from the first year when they tried to put him in and had to put Fitz back in, that people wrote off Tua at that point and have a complete refusal to give anything else there. I mean, last year when he was completing passes at 70%, that wasn't good enough. When they strung along the wins, that wasn't good enough. They didn't mean anything. So until he takes a team to the playoffs, he apparently sucks.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of everything. I mean, for the most part, he's been okay. So he hasn't been great. And meanwhile, Burrow went one, and the kid with the Chargers went one spot after him, and he's tremendous. And so in comparison to them, Tua sucks. Okay. I mean, got to admit, he's had a below average offensive line, below average running backs,
and below average receivers until this year.
So now we'll see. Now we'll find out. Are the keyboardists correct, or does this guy have some talent after all? I think Tua is going to have a year similar to the year that Baker Mayfield had in 2020. I think it's going to be a good, productive year.
Different AFC today than what Baker did, because he was able to get that team into the postseason. I don't know if Tua has almost that same season as Baker. Will that be good enough to get the Miami Dolphins into the postseason with this AFC? And that, to me, is a difficult question to answer, David.
It should be. Unless Brian Flores was the genius behind their defense. I mean, they were a top quarter of the league defense. The offense was what was holding them back. If the defense can play comparably to how they have played the last 2 years, I would like to think they're going to be a playoff team. They should score points.
They should score points. But just to say that's good enough to be a playoff team right now, I don't know. Because second in the division's no guarantee for a playoff team. 10 wins is no guarantee for a playoff team.
No.
And those are the two benchmarks where I see them at right now. 10-7, second place in the division. Will that be good enough? I'm not sure.
For the Dolphins' sake, I hope he doesn't suck. I hope he's a solid quarterback at least. Now, have to acknowledge, if Tua plays in 2022 the way that Baker Mayfield played in 2020, Mark, I don't even know if that's going to be good enough. Honestly, the narrative seems to have been written. I don't know why everyone is in such a hurry to throw this guy on the Dolphins scrap heap quarterback pile since Dan Marino.
Nationally right now, Jalen Hurts is considered a better quarterback than Tua.
Right.
You know, the guy that had to transfer because Tua was the starter.
Correct.
That's the one part of this that I found. And that happens. There are plenty of players who were great on Saturdays that are not as good on Sundays. But we never imagined Jalen Hurts was going to be the guys that was going to be good on Sundays. He was supposed to be just a Saturday guy. And right now, the narrative nationally, I think, is that Hurts is better than Tua. I find that interesting to say the very least.
I do as well. I think Tua will be fine. I think the Dolphins will be pretty good. I do think it will be a disappointment if they don't make the playoffs. If I'm a Dolph fan, and I'll say we because I'm speaking as a Dolph fan, if we are not the second best team in this division and we are not one of the 3 wildcard teams in the AFC, I will be very disappointed. I'm counting on the road in the AFC West and the AFC North to kind of beat each other up here. And that this should then be the road for the second place team in the AFC East to be a wild card.
Well, I think the one thing you have going for you is that right now, can the West just beat itself up a little bit? But if you're thinking 2 from the West go, and you're thinking maybe 2 from the North go.
Well, it leaves one wild card.
Leaves one wild card.
Right. You have to beat the second place team from the South.
Or the third place team from the West.
Well, you should be able to do that, quite frankly. I mean, you should. It's time.
How many teams would you have them ranked ahead of in the AFC West? Just if I were to make you do a preseason poll, and I know we don't have those in the NFL, I'd have them ahead of Denver.
Fair enough.
Pretty equal with the Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders are intriguing. Not sure which way they're going to go. They made major changes to a team that finished strong, won 10 games, and made the playoffs. I mean, here's my thing. For as much as people are not willing to give the Dolphins the benefit of the doubt, because they haven't earned it, why are they willing to give the Chargers the benefit of the doubt?
And David, not just today, but quite frankly, any day. The Chargers have done nothing in the last decade to be getting a benefit of a doubt from anyone in football. And you're right. Somehow they managed to get one.
Everybody's in love with their coach, who I could argue his love of going for every 4th down cost them multiple games last year and a playoff spot. They have, every time they have a big game, win it and you're in type of situation, they lose. I mean, the Dolphins have done as much the last 2 years as they have, right? I mean, Dolphins have had back-to-back winning seasons. Nothing to show for it. Why is it that the Chargers are tremendous and the Dolphins,
it was lucky.
Whatever.
Right. The Chargers have gotten there with talent. The Dolphins have gotten there by just luck. It's an incredibly interesting debate between the two teams because they're incredibly similar, and yet the Chargers get all the benefits. The Dolphins get none.
That'd be an interesting poll question, by the way. Which team's going to win more games this year, Chargers or Dolphins? Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when, and final thoughts all coming up. Thanks so much for listening here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Mark, we're playing golf.
Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up now.
I'd like to thank Budweiser, Twin Peaks, and Southwest Florida Golf Carts. Got some good stuff there, flgolfcarts.com.
Where are you going to go? floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our tournament Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Your golf will include your foursome and a chance to have lunch and awards after.
Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
RCB, it'll be real easy. If Trask is the backup quarterback, officially the backup, he's active, and they either cut the former Jag quarterback there, or he's the one that's inactive on game days, then he's made progress. But if he ain't the number 2 quarterback this year, he hasn't made any progress.
Exactly. I was all excited because I read this article and it was like, gave a great review to it. So I went online. I'm like,
Stan Humphries at quarterback. Natron Means, the running back. Backed up by Eric Bieniemy.
Team pop. Well, that's why I made the correlation, actually. Yes. Yes.
She had a right to all that anger.
Yeah.
Yeah. She earned that.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I don't know where Means went to college. Yep, Bobby Ross.
Had to get a pop music question answered.
There you go.
So I went out in the hall to Joe.
Right.
So today was the day Scully did the 2 games, by the way. Today in 1989, Scully did 23 innings in 2 different cities. I don't know where. I just have. Didn't know if you knew that story. But that is today in 1989. Scully did 23 innings in 2 different cities.
year was it? 89?
89. St. Louis went 10 innings, and then Houston went 22. So it's not 23 innings. He did 32 innings. I mean, I've got this story on the LA Times right here. O'Malley hired a private jet for him.
So apparently
Drysdale couldn't do the game.
he's doing well. Here's the story that I'm reading. He's doing game of the week on Saturday. He does a 10-inning game between the Cubs and Cardinals. From there, he flies to Houston. He's going to do the Sunday game. However, instead of going to the hotel, Scully goes to the Astrodome. The Saturday night game goes to extra innings. Scully takes over lead play-by-play in the 10th and calls 13 innings.
Okay, there you go.
Of the 22-inning game.
All right, good. So we got it. Good. I'm glad
And now to extras we go, and here's Vin Scully.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. Game 2 tonight in New York, Lightning and Rangers. Tampa Bay having won 17 consecutive times after a loss in the playoffs, going all the way back to the bubble, 2020. Haven't lost back-to-back playoff games since 2019 when they were swept by Columbus. Does the streak continue tonight and reach 18?
Hell no.
Well, no, the streak continues.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the streak. Back
Right.
up the truck. The
Yeah,
streak
we both
continues.
like the Lightning tonight.
Still minus 130. I'm stunned by that.
You know, Tampa Bay has not been getting a lot of betting respect from Vegas. I mean, the whole Panthers series, the numbers on the Lightning were very low. It was like, do they not realize that Tampa's the team that's won 2 straight cups? I mean, literally, you thought if you were betting that they got the teams wrong.
We will find out tonight. Game 2 at Madison Square Garden. But now it's time for Today Was a Day When.
Right.
Without an open.
Well, Vicky's on vacation, and we switch gears midweek. So,
we got to recut that, but I mean, I can still.
Leave it to the
The dude from Saginaw, Michigan,
definitely
the Sparty fan,
to live in the past.
Wow.
Here's David.
Mark Miller.
Today was the day when
How about that?
he's desperate for airtime.
I am telling you, I've never been looking forward to a weekend quite the way that I am right now.
Go get some free donuts after.
We start in 1539 today, David.
Wow.
Hernando de Soto claims Florida for Spain.
Oh, yeah.
1851. First baseball uniforms worn when the New York Knickerbockers wear a uniform of straw hats, white shirts, and long blue trousers.
Glad we got rid of the Knickerbockers.
1888, the San Francisco Examiner first to publish Casey at the Bat. 1925, Eddie Collins becomes the 6th to get 3,000 hits. 1929, Rene Lacoste, that's where the name comes from, wins his 3rd French Open title. 1932, Lou Gehrig becomes the first to hit 4 consecutive home runs as the Yankees beat the Philadelphia A's 20-13. 1949, Dragnet, first broadcast on radio. 1967, the 99th Belmont, Damascus wins, Bill Shoemaker aboard. Also in 67, Aretha's cover of Respect reaches number 1, and Roy Emerson wins his 12th and final Grand Slam, winning the French. 1970s. Ray Davies of the Kinks goes round trip from New York to London to change one word in the song Lola. Coca-Cola became Cherry Cola because of the BBC commercial reference band. They couldn't play it on BBC radio because it said Coca-Cola. 1972, Billie Jean King wins her lone French title, beating Yvonne Goolagong in straight sets. 1980, this is really just for, 1977, Bob Marley releases Exodus. Go listen to it today. There's about 5 songs you'll know, and the rest are all really good as well. 2 things in 1980. Strawberry picked number 1, and ESPN starts televising the College World Series.
At Old Rosenblatt in Omaha. And, I mean, it didn't become as big a deal as, like, Big Monday and college hoops, but ESPN and the College World Series, they were great for one another. The time of year, you know, the ball flew out of Rosenblatt. And in the early 80s, I mean, you know, when they go back, I don't know how many of you are going to watch part of the College World Series, but I mean, to see Will Clark and Clemens and Palmero and some of those great early 80s Texas, Mississippi State, Long Beach State, the Canes, LSU.
The Canes, the flea flicker play that the Canes ran, throwing the ball, the pickoff play on first was a College World Series game. 1985, David, this one's for you. Larry King Live debuts on CNN. It would air each weeknight through December of 2010.
Hello.
Thank you. 1989 was the beginning of the Tiananmen Square Massacre.
No.
Nolan Ryan pitched his second one-hitter of the season, his 11th overall. But my favorite of the day, today in 1989, Vin Scully broadcast 23 innings in 2 different cities in one day.
So here's the story. He's doing Game of the Week on NBC. Cubs Cardinals in St. Louis. It goes 10 innings. Dodgers are in Houston. He's not working the game Saturday night, but they're getting him to the airport and they're getting him, you know, on a plane so he can get there Saturday night. So this way there's no problem. He'll be there for the game on Sunday. He lands in Houston and he says, hey, turn on the game. And it's close. And it sounds like it may go extra innings. So instead of going to the hotel, Scully says, why don't you take me to the Astrodome? And so Vin Scully shows up in the broadcast booth right as the game is going to the 10th. And since he's the voice of the Dodgers, he sits down, says, all right, let's go. The game goes 22 innings. So Scully did 10 innings in St. Louis and 13 innings in Houston.
Unbelievable. 1992. At that time, Arkansas Governor Bill Clinton shows up at the Arsenio Hall show, plays Heartbreak Hotel on the saxophone.
Turned his campaign around.
Completely.
Overnight, he was third. Perot was winning, actually, the night that Clinton played the saxophone to open up Arsenio Hall.
Today in 95, David, Pedro Martinez's perfect game is broken up in the 10th as San Diego's Bip Roberts leads off with the double. Montreal would win 1-0.
Think about that. 9 perfect innings, and they couldn't give you a run.
Couldn't give you a run. Unbelievable. 2001, Carrie Webb wins the U.S. Women's Open ahead of Sunri Pak. It's the largest margin of victory in 21 years when she wins by 8. 2012, Tiger wins his 73rd PGA Tour victory as he would win the Memorial.
Which I believe tied him with Jack. I think Jack ended up with 73.
Yep, that equals Nicklaus's record. Exactly right. In 2013, Lorde releases her debut single, Royals. I like the song. That's why I included it. And in 2018, Steph Curry breaks Ray Allen's finals record for most threes in a game with 9 as the Warriors would win Game 2 over the Cavs. And it was in 2019 that Jay-Z becomes the first billionaire rapper, according to Forbes magazine.
Well, LeBron yesterday became the first active billionaire player. Obviously, Jordan is a billionaire, no longer active, and others are as well. But LeBron Remember the big Sports Illustrated article like 10, 12 years ago about Tiger? That was his goal, to become a billionaire while still playing. And they figured, this will be no problem. And he backed out of his driveway and, well.
I like the way you do this, so I'm going to copy you, David. Those born today that are no longer with us: Jefferson Davis, Josephine Baker, Tony Curtis, Allen Ginsberg, Chuck Barris, and Sam Mills.
Ba-da-dun, dun, dun, ba-da-dun, dun, dun.
Hit the bell. Billy Cunningham is 79. Hale Irwin is 77. First Lady Jill Biden is 71. Anderson Cooper is 55. Carl Everett is 51. Jose Molina is 47. Travis Hafner is 45. And Rafi and Al Horford, both turning 36 years old today.
Old guys are getting it done.
Damn right they are. And that, David, is today was the day when.
Rafi Nadal's 36?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was older. I got a basketball one, by the way. Today in 91, Michael Jordan made 6 threes and a half and just couldn't believe it, so he just decided to shrug.
Couldn't have been 91. He was playing Portland. It was 92.
It was 91. 90. Oh, you're right. 91, he played LA. Whoops. I messed it up. Also today in 1984, Magic Johnson dished out an NBA Finals record 21 assists in a 137-104 victory against the Celtics. They'd go on to lose that series in 7 games.
He meant 84. He said 94. But, yep.
He went 0 for 2 there.
Oh, my.
He did.
All right. Mike's
And
coming up.
Missed
Just-
both free throws.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
Guest hung up on the air. Okay. Yep, had a rough day. He did, however, stay awake for the whole show. He did.
Yeah, I know. He did better yesterday when he fell asleep 3 times.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Well, I got a guy in Michigan who won the lottery twice in 1 month for $1.3 million. The 33-year-old began with a $95,000 Club Keno the Jack prize that he bought from the Main Street pub in Kalamazoo, and then he was back at the same bar and hit another one for $1.27 million. The beauty is the entire article fails to list the man's name, so I think he's done a great job of staying anonymous.
Congratulations, sir.
It's the best part about the whole thing. For the bad, we go to Las Vegas. The licensing company that controls the name and image of the king is ordering that the Sin City Chapel operators stop using Elvis-themed ceremonies. Are you kidding me? You're going to elope to Vegas and Elvis can't marry you? What is the point?
So what's their problem? That this is like disparaging Elvis?
Basically, the company that controls the
Elvis's
king
estate
has said no.
Come on, lighten up.
The Graceland Wedding Chapel performs 6,400 Elvis-themed weddings a year. They've not been served a warning yet, according to their manager. There's going to be a follow-up to this story.
Hold on a second. Guy's been dead 45 years. Now you're drawing the line in the sand? What? Can't wait to see the Elvis movie, though. I'll say it again, 3 weeks from now.
Well, is it an Elvis movie or is it a Colonel Parker movie?
I think it's named Elvis, but Tom Hanks is the Colonel. I'm pretty sure the movie's named Elvis. So I'm sure it's coming from the Colonel's perspective, but.
For the we go to the Louvre in Paris, David.
For the ugly?
Yes. Video on social media, a man who was disguised as an old woman in a wheelchair threw a piece of cake at the Mona Lisa.
Yeah,
Darn right.
This was outrageous.
First off, you can't get within 10 feet of the Mona Lisa at the Louvre. And it's covered in a glass case, unlike most of the art at the Louvre. So all I got to do is really wipe the cake off of the glass. I don't think that's worth getting arrested for.
No, I don't either. And what's his beef with the Mona Lisa? What did she do to you?
He was doing this apparently as he is concerned with the earth. He says, think of the earth. There are people who are destroying the earth. Think about it. Artists tell you, think of the earth. That's why I did this, according to the AP. That was his statement.
Did Mona Lisa go out on the town in a fur recently that I missed? I mean, what'd she ever do to this guy? I mean, she's the strong, silent type.
He felt the smile was a smirk, maybe. And that, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, June the 3rd, 2022. I was very unimpressed with the Mona Lisa, for the record. I was at the Louvre. I was lucky enough when I traveled Europe to go to the Louvre. It was, I was there for humanities. Had to do a lot of this galleries and a lot of these things. Of all of the art that I saw, it was far and away the most unimpressive thing.
When we come back on Monday, what will the NBA Finals be? 1-1 or 2-0?
1-1. I don't think Boston gets both.
Sunday night, Warriors and Celtics. Tonight, game 2 in New York, Lightning and Rangers. Lightning are minus 130. We both think that the Lightning will win. Baseball, there's one day game. It's in the north side of Chicago. Cubs hosting the Cards. That's a good Friday, by the way. Cut out. If you had Monday off, make it a 3.5-day week. Show up at Wrigley, Cards in town. That's a good Friday right there. Yankee fans, get ready. It's Apple TV tonight for the Tigers.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I know. Marlins home for the Giants at 6:40. Rays home for the White Sox at 7:10. Oakland's home for Boston this weekend. Come on now. Do they do 30,000?
Ooh, for Boston?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Red Sox.
They only make
town.
one trip out there.
Right.
I'm going to say they're going to do, if you'd have said 27, I'd have gone over. I'll go over on the 30,000. You with me? Come on, are you with me?
I'm with you. Although I don't think they do the 10 tonight. I think it'd be about 8,300 tonight. The Red Sox in town. It's unbelievable.
We'll get 2 hockey games between now and when we come back.
I know.
Tampa Bay is going to be up 2-1 when we come back on
Yes,
Monday.
they will, Mark. Yes, they will. And if they're not, I'll be in a really good mood on Monday. Shocked, but happy.
Question is, will Edmonton win game 3?
They will. At home, they will. Although Colorado's unbeaten on the road in the playoffs. Swept Nashville, and when they took out St. Louis in 6, they won all 3 in St. Louis. Avs are 5-0 on the road.
And it is a huge game for Edmonton after getting shut out like that. I think they'll come back and win game 3. I don't know if they'll win game 4, but I think they'll win game 3.
Sign up for our golf tournament. It's a week from tomorrow, so probably should sign up today if you want to be in it. FloridaSportsNetwork.com, FloridaSportsNetwork.com.
I think that's a pretty safe bet. In fact, I think we'll probably take down, I'm guessing we'll get there by today. If you don't, in fact, we won't even be talking about signing up for the golf tournament on Monday.
Oh, how about that? Miller and Moulton. Be careful. Stay as dry as you can. Hopefully the sun comes out by Sunday. Take care, everyone.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up